Hello and welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
and Matt.
You know what time it is!
I can't tell you guys enough how much you've been my internal monologue when thinking about football for the last year.
Yes, amazing! We get to record while drinking some wine. Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love him.
We love him. Stop zooming in on Allegri's face, bro. You're gonna make
How
me
are you
break.
exposing me?
Because you're gonna make me break, man.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake
And Matt.
and this is episode 141 covering Matchday 5 of Serie A this week.
Sorry guys, for some reason today we've had a little bit of ring rust when it comes to recording our intro, but we're recovering. It's probably the high of the derby della Madonnina,
It's the adrenaline, it's still flowing in our veins. You know?
Last minute Gabbia goal. Naturally, you can imagine the emotions over there. But we are a neutral podcast, so we have some huge matches to discuss this weekend, obviously being headlined by the Derby della Madonnina. But there's also the likes of Juventus against Napoli, a very interesting match with two completely new coaches over there. Roma, Udinese, Roma going through a crisis, Udinese top of the table. Fiorentina, Lazio, Fiorentina searching for their first win. There was so much exciting shit going on this weekend.
Absolutely.
And thankfully we were on the fucking couch, bro. On the couch watching these
everything.
games. Yes, eyes peeled.
Damaging our posture irreversibly.
Yes,
Just bent over.
forever shaped like an S.
Yeah.
The Phoenix.
For the Phoenix, that's
Phoenix.
That's what it's for, bro. Our goal of the week was Zappacosta, and it was quite a tough decision. This was Zappacosta's volley against Como. Beautiful volley, perfect form to guide the ball into the bottom corner, right between the fingertips of Audero and the goalpost.
I mean, if you hit it like that and it goes in, I mean, even just the technique and the style in which he hit it, it reminds me. There was this one goal Di Canio had scored once, bro. Like that scissor kick, but not the sideways scissor kick, the frontal kind of volley where you kind of feint with one leg and strike it with the other. Those are so cool. If that goes in, you've scored a fucking worldie, man.
Absolutely, it's a scissor kick when you're in your 30s, right?
Exactly, bro. Let's just say he didn't try any of that spray shit on the patch this week. He's showcasing. He's showcasing the bald spot,
which is fantastic.
Which is
fantastic
great
for us and the bald community.
He's giving us some fantastic content. Yeah. We hated not giving the goal of the week to these two gentlemen.
Yes,
Pulisic, who, watching the goal again. Maybe in the moment, I enjoyed the goal a little bit more, obviously, for emotional reasons. But when you consider the compact nature of that back three of Inter, and when you consider Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan and the way they come back and win the ball over there, including Barella, and what Pulisic did by going straight down the throat of Inter, beating four men and slotting it past Sommer, Madonna. And you think of the stage away from home against Inter after 6 derbies where Milan lost. My God, I kind of regret not giving him the goal of the week over there.
Just to give it to Zappacosta against Como, right?
in a loss. In a fucking loss.
Pulisic's goal was amazing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, what a goal.
Oh, man. Castro.
Fantastic goal as well. Great strike, an absolute bullet from out of the box.
Castro hit that ball like he was Cristiano Ronaldo. He did.
Joe Biden!
You're eating the dogs.
Yeah, that was an amazing goal. And bro, honorable mention as well to Esposito, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Who looked like he
First
was on a different
goal
level against Cagliari.
in 5 years in Serie A. Can you believe it?
I wouldn't have believed that, to be honest.
Sebastiano.
He looks like he belongs.
Hey.
He's playing very well, bro. We had Champions League and Europa League action, didn't we, brother?
Last Thursday, naturally. So we covered what happened on Tuesday and what happened, we were live covering what was happening on Wednesday last week. Again, we're recording late, but not our fault. It's literally Serie A's fault. Well, the weather's fault, let's be real. There was Atalanta 0, Arsenal 0. And the Premier League reacted. The fans reacted, the players reacted. Declan Rice came out and said, we don't play teams like Atalanta in the Premier League.
Yeah. Highlighting how they'll follow you into your own box. Like
the man-for-man press
Yeah.
that still lives on in Italian football, whereas the Premier League, obviously I'm a bit of a casual when it comes to the Premier League, but it's typically the zonal marking and these modern systems, whereas Gasperini will hit you with the man-for-man. Pioli used to hit you with the man-for-man, except for set pieces back in the day. But Retegui did have an opportunity from the spot, which was saved by Raya, who also saved the rebound in excellent fashion.
Phenomenal save.
Phenomenal save.
I mean, if you pause, I saw a TikTok.
Oh, yes. The guy who paused
he
it right
paused
after
it, and he's like, look where Raya is.
He's explaining to his girlfriend. How's he couldn't done that?
Yeah, it was a great save, to be honest. What a recovery by him.
But otherwise, for the quality that Arsenal have at the moment, let's be real. I feel like the Italian teams, particularly Inter and Atalanta, have done a great job in dealing with these powerhouses, the rich clubs that afford to bring in world-class players that they don't have to mold themselves or spend ages flipping players. So impressive
One
performances.
of the best run clubs in the world, we say about Atalanta, as they
100.
lose to Como at home. Yeah, but it's true, no, they really are.
Yeah.
Their business deals are...
There's a lot of tape on Atalanta,
inspirational.
bro.
Yes,
Someone
yes.
like Fabregas would love that because he's an analyst.
It's true.
Europa League tonight. Tonight is Europa night, guys, and there's Dynamo Kiev versus Lazio, a spectacle.
However, if you're a real hipster, you'd be watching the Genoa Sampdoria
Derby
game.
del Lanterna.
Exactly. Yeah, that's tonight in the Coppa Italia. What a
Madonna,
show.
let's.
We're gonna try and make
Last
it
time
for
we
that
said
one.
let's rush to watch Intercity, and it was our longest episode this season. Tomorrow there's Roma against Athletic Club, Athletic Bilbao. And we also had some Coppa Italia action going on during the Champions League, during this and that.
Lecce beat Mantova 2-1 with goals from Kristovic and Gaspar, of course. That was actually a while back. So it starts from here actually. Lecce against Sassuolo. So Lecce took on Sassuolo at home and they conceded their first goal in the 13th minute. Sassuolo's Muharemovic scored 13 minutes in, and then youngster D'Andrea, who's played in Serie A, scored in the 79th minute for Sassuolo to beat them 2-0. One of the goals was a massive mistake by Rebic, wearing the number 3.
D'Andrea sounds like you're speaking Maltese and you're saying like this Andrea kid. D'Andrea.
That's true. Cagliari beat Cremonese at home thanks to a 60th minute goal by Gianluca Lapadula, who was given the start this game.
Respect, the aura.
Yeah, Torino played against Empoli in a tough game between two teams who are on top form. Of course, this is the round 32 of the Coppa Italia, guys. Empoli actually beat Torino with goals from Ekong and a last-minute winner from Haas, while Shea Adams scored for Torino. Cesena beat Pisa thanks to a goal by Cilia. Again, sounds Maltese.
I guess.
Currently, as we speak, Udinese are beating Salernitana 2-1 thanks to a Lorenzo Lucca penalty and a Bijol goal, while Simi and Wanko scored for Salernitana.
Simi.
This is the attack of the Giants, bro. Lucca against Simi.
It's true. Jesus Christ. Someone please take a photo of them. That's an interesting one, Udinese Salernitana.
Nice game.
I'd like
Genoa
to...
Sampdoria tonight. And on the 26th, so tomorrow there's Monza Brescia.
Monza Brescia.
Yeah.
Very good one as well. And I really look forward to having more Coppa Italia action. Obviously, probably the players aren't because the schedules with this new Champions League format is ridiculous. It's almost too much for us to keep up, let alone the players who need to train, fly, be with their families and do all that. It's quite fucking ridiculous.
It's intense.
I get that they get paid a lot of money, bro, but at this point, I'm like... I'm chilling so much more than these guys and I almost feel like they're working for me kind of thing. They're working for my entertainment.
Yeah, that is a very healthy way to look at it. What do you call it? Rodri of Manchester City said that the players are very close to protesting because of the schedule and how packed they are.
And look what happened to him.
Seasons, and he's done his ACL.
He's out for 14 months apparently.
So there's your break, Rodri.
How terrible. Varane,
yes.
Yeah, don't worry. You've got something up your sleeve. We could jump to this week in Serie A.
Yes, let's do that. So we have this week in Serie A. Malinowski suffered a horrific injury which saw his ankle looking like it had fallen victim to Vecna from Stranger Things. He'll be out for the rest of the season. Honestly, it was hard to watch and we wish him a speedy recovery. And it's a real shame for Genoa as well, who, you know, Messias is constantly going in and out, you know, on and off the treatment table.
Yeah, it's a disaster.
Malinowski's out. They've lost Retegui and Goodmanson, of course. So their attacking players are just falling right.
It's also quite shit for the Ukraine. I know they've been doing quite poorly in the Nations League. They had 2 poor games. They've actually got quite a bit of talent with Malinowski, with Dovbyk, with the Chelsea left winger, name escaped, Mudryk.
Yes.
Zinchenko, obviously, as well.
Yeah, plenty of good players, to be honest. And they were very good under Shevchenko.
Yeah.
After 23 minutes played with Como, Rafael Varane has retired from football. Legend of the game, not of our league, though.
No.
Yeah. He will go down in history as a legend.
He's one of the most decorated defenders ever. Nowhere near Dani Alves still. And he was blessed to play in an era where Real Madrid dominated football for 6-7 years. But a fantastic recovery centre-back.
Yes.
Was Varane and a towering
towering
figure at 22 years old. I remember he was a leader at the back for Real. Didn't improve and mature at the rate that I was expecting, but his best years, unfortunately, as an experienced centre-back, were maybe still to come.
Yeah. Atalanta Como had to be postponed by 24 hours, hence our episode coming out on Wednesday, even though sometimes it does. After adverse weather conditions, the match was played and Como decided to play champagne football and smash Atalanta 3-1 to get their first Serie A victory in 21 years.
Madonna.
Yeah, and what a way to get it. And the goals were lovely, particularly the first and the third one. The second one was a freak goal.
Yes. Yeah.
Here is Cancellieri's performance against Lecce. In the 37th minute, he came on. In the 47th minute, he got slapped by Guilbert, who was sent off for slapping him, of course.
Guilbert.
In the 58th minute, he made a last man foul, essentially. He tried to tackle Dorgu, last man, and got sent off for it. And in the 59th minute, Lecce scored from the free kick that he gave away. So all in 20 minutes, he did all that. What an eventful game for Cancellieri. I bet he was confused, that evening when lying in bed, like... did I have a good game or a bad game?
It's all about having an effective performance. It doesn't need to be insanely long. He was effective with it. All his fuck-ups and all his heroicism came in 20 minutes.
Exactly, and this, of course, is in the game where Parma were down 2-0 until the 91st minute away to Lecce, and Parma managed to come back, of course, to draw 2-2.
An insane game of football.
Yes. Roma CEO Lina Suluku was put under police protection and resigned right after being blamed for the sacking of Daniele De Rossi. She was receiving death threats and she was pretty much, it feels like she was scapegoated, bro, by the Friedkins, perhaps. I don't know how it came out that this woman was in charge or solely responsible for everything that's wrong with Roma, but she was definitely scapegoated by the fans and she had to be put under police protection. That's crazy.
That's what it feels like. As owners, I think what they wanted is to show Roma people that action was taken, I guess. But let's not act as if there wasn't a board meeting that decided the fate of De Rossi. And she's not just a hothead that decided to fire him.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's bizarre. And just the fact that like we've had a woman CEO in football in Serie A, which is a great thing to have. And the fact that it ended like that for her is quite...
With all of Rome calling her a bitch, poor woman.
literally. It's
terrible,
ridiculous.
Tommaso Augello lost his parrot and took to social media in an attempt to find it, and it worked. He's been reunited with his parrot, and the picture is hilarious.
Bro posted on like Rob's puppy love, bro, because he lost his parrot. Augello. I don't think Augello knows how it works, that he's a footballer. Like he just remains a normal ass guy.
But it worked. Oliveira passed the ball to Napoli teammate and goalkeeper Caprile, who casually picked it up unpenalized. That should have been an indirect free kick in the box. Definitely.
100%.
Reinders earned the man of the match award against Inter after entering a flow state and playing an unbelievable game, to be honest. And he posed for the picture like MSC's Employee of the Month. Çalhanoğlu mocked Milan on Instagram by posting 2 stars versus 1 star and ended up predicting the scoreline.
No,
right? 'Cause
legend.
That's what the score was
Legend.
at the end of it. Emerson Royal teased Inter fans. And Pulisic as well celebrated in front of them. That was lovely.
Fofana as well.
Fofana as well. They put the
jersey
on
the
the
corner
flag.
flag, which is what Thuram did when they won the second star.
Which is what Baggio had done for Milan against Inter back in the day. That's the OG. Everyone's saying that, that they copied Thuram. Yeah, actually Thuram copied Baggio. It has been revealed that Fonseca pulled a Ted Lasso before the game, brother. He put up the word courage on every player's locker. And he put it in different languages depending on where they're from, of course. So it's courage, coraggio, all that stuff. It's pretty nice gesture. And it's nice to see that the players are behind him as well.
We're gonna have a lot of time to talk about this, but I fuck with that. I like this cringe belief shit when it comes to football because a lot of it is in the players' minds.
Absolutely. Leao went up to Fonseca to complain immediately after being substituted, and while he was complaining, Milan scored. And Fonseca just ran away from him celebrating. Hilarious.
And Leao ran like this. He was so half-assed about it for a bit.
Tammy woke up the morning after the derby and posted on Instagram, "Woke up and the city's still rossonero." Great intention with the post, however, the grammar was terrible, using the plural form of cities instead of the possessive form.
I don't give a fuck, dog. I don't give a fuck.
Come on, bro. Cities, C-I-T-I-E-S.
I don't give a fuck,
and the city's
bro.
Still Rossonero, bro.
He's
English.
A footballer.
You're English.
He's a footballer.
You're English.
You're an English teacher. He's a footballer.
He's English. Shout out to our patrons, huh?
Yes.
Our boys. We have Ed, Allen, Andy, Lena, Jose, Mint, Tonna, Teo, Mattias, Luca, Anthony, Michael, David, Mastro Battista, Kyle, Andrew, Batman, Slooge, McNoodle, Tim, Campbell, Tonino, Batman, Choco, Loco, Joey D, Tony, David, Vavra, Dequan, Keanu, Tyson, Stephen, Robert, Kurt, Peter, Sal, Grima, Steve, Nicholas, Sean, and our latest and newest addition, Greta.
Hey, Greta.
Welcome. We don't have our soundboard, so we can't throw a rave, but but thank you for your support.
I just noticed we don't have the soundboard.
It's on the floor over
this
here.
is a quick little dance for you, Greta, for becoming a patron. Those are tectonics. Yes. They were huge in our heyday.
Still in the video when you're watching. Count yourselves lucky. From the fantasy, bro. Pieter is still first, closely followed by David.
Ooh.
And Peter's on 386 points,
Madonna.
while David's on 385.
Oh my god.
Tanino, Batman, Choco, Loco is lingering in third place. My girlfriend is in 11th with 327 points, while I'm in 18th with 302.
Bro, tell them where I am.
Bro's on the second page. 1 second, let that load up. You are... Where are you?
Colpodicats.
24th, 269 points.
The only one getting a Colpodicats is me. Can you read out that brilliant name, bro? Who was it with the fantastic name? Was it Joey D?
Look at me, I'm the captain now. Joey D. One of the best.
I'm a captain now.
One of the best fantasy names. Look at me, of course.
Honestly,
Bologna, Colombian centre back.
When you read it to me, bro, I screamed. It's fucking hilarious. Shout out Joey D, you beautiful fuck.
And shout out Theo with Ndoye will always love you.
He's a fraud though, because he's in a Premier League 1 and he has Ndoye will always love you. He's one trick pony.
One trick pony.
Don't get it twisted. If you guys are new here, wherever you're listening, don't forget to drop us a follow and rate us 5 stars. We're on social media. We got our Instagram back, and lost our TikTok. Huge. We're working on getting that back. If it's back by the time you listen to this episode, please.
China.
Yes, China basically banned us. But if it's back by the time you're listening to this, then do drop us a follow over there. Most importantly, at the moment, guys, do show us some love on YouTube. Drop us a subscription over there. We've hit 300 subscribers now.
310.
Let's 310. Let's aim for 500 for now. Let's aim for 500. And yeah, I think without further ado, we could get into the rundown of the order in which we are going to be covering games in this episode. We will start, obviously, with the Derby della Madonnina, Inter 1, Milan 2, the game which was supposed to seal the inevitable fate of Fonseca being sacked from Milan, especially after 6 derbies on the trot where Inter found the victory. However, a last-minute Matty Cage header, Matteo Gabbia header, sealed Fonseca's fate in staying on as Milan manager after Milan were absolutely breathtaking in this game. They did exactly what they had to do to beat the compact Inter, the talented Inter, the somewhat in-form Inter after their match against Manchester City. But Milan played a perfect game of football, a mature game of football, and they did win the Derby della Madonnina and raised the Rossonero flag in front of all the Inter fans. Juve 0, Napoli 0. A very interesting affair, not for the people that like a lot of action in football games, as most of us are, but if you're really into Serie A, it really gave you... This is going to be a very different game to the next Napoli-Juve game that we'll see in the future, as these managers stamp their foot a little bit more on these teams.
Both teams demonstrated, how defensively sound they are and how they will be actually in contention for the title,
100%.
For top 4 as the bare minimum, because these guys are difficult to score against. They're so tough, and defense is clearly a priority with both these sides, and it was on show this game.
No, 100%. And I do feel like it was somewhat of a cagey affair. There is a scapegoat, naturally, for Juve going 3 games in a row where they didn't score a goal. They obviously didn't concede a goal. They haven't conceded a goal in Serie A yet this season. But Dusan Vlahovic once again was missing his shooting boots, and perhaps he did have 1 or 2 opportunities where he could have done better. But yeah, Juve 0, Napoli 0 will be the second game that we'll be covering. Roma 3, Udinese 0. Roma also reacting when being in a complete crisis, and it was a fantastic game of football on Juric's debut. Once again, they just go in with a completely new system, a 3 at the back formation. We saw Dovbyk, who was essentially involved in all the goals, got the opener, assisted Dybala in winning the penalty in the second one, and grabbed an assist on the third goal as well, where he won it at the corner flag. Beautiful stuff by Roma over there.
He might be as big as Baschirotto, by the way.
He might be.
He's
ginormous. Bro is huge, man. Bro is huge. Fiorentina 2, Lazio 1. Finally, guys, we have Italiano's Fiorentina winning a game of football in Serie A this season, and it was against Lazio, which is by no means an easy task. Gudmundsson came in the 46th minute and netted 2 from the spot. Gudmundsson hadn't featured yet, naturally, because of 2 very clear reasons. 1, his injury, and 2, the court cases that he currently has ongoing in Iceland. But he entered the pitch and he scored 2 penalties absolutely flawlessly, giving Fiorentina their first win of the season, and they did look a lot better when he was on the pitch. He was absolutely everywhere in this game.
He was everything, man. He would drop down to the midfield,
at a point,
the ball, it'd play a 1-2 advance.
I was
slightly.
Sure at a point, I'm like, is Gudmundsson playing right back? It can't be. Is he playing right back? But
he's given a free role, and deservedly so. He's excellent.
Yeah. A chaotic match took place between Verona and Torino, where the away side Torino managed to win 3-2. They actually opened the scoring, Verona got 1 back, and then there was a red card, and Torino managed to get 2 goals after that. Their 3 strikers all got on the score sheet, which is a beautiful problem for them to have. There was a Duvan Zapata goal, a Tony Sanabria goal, and also a Shea Adams goal over there. Atalanta Como was postponed by 24 hours, but once it did take place, Como put on a show in the second half and won the game 3-2 away from home once again. It seems like the conditions might have favoured Como because they're used to playing in a chaotic kind of chaotic weather, which I think did them a little bit of a favour over there.
Very, very good point.
Lecce 2, Parma 2. I can't wait to discuss this game because it was also quite chaotic, and it did end with, but Pontus Almqvist did score against his former side Lecce, where he was playing last season. It is inevitable. Like, we should have placed a bet on that shit.
Ruolo dell'ex,
exactly.
In Italy.
Venezia also get their first win of the season as they beat Genoa 2-0, and we can see that Genoa are in fact the new Robin Hood, perhaps, because they are getting points against all the top teams, and so far this is the second smaller team that they have dropped points against, or rather lost against. Cagliari 0, Empoli 2 is the last game we're going to be covering, where a few weeks ago Jake said that Sardinia is a very intimidating place to go and play a game of football. I agree, but it seems like the rest of Serie A disagrees because they're just getting absolutely mauled so far this season, and keep an eye out on any moves they're going to make because Davide Nicola is not having a good time over there, and they have showed me very little.
Empoli looked much better than Cagliari.
Empoli have looked great. Have Empoli lost a game yet this season? No, they haven't.
No, they haven't.
They haven't.
You're right. Oh, I thought they might have lost in the cup, but no, they beat Torino.
Exactly.
Crazy. Let's get to the
Derby
bro.
della Madonnina. So in case you guys forgot, Inter were coming off a 1-1 away draw to Monza and a 0-0 away draw to City in quite a hectic week of football that they had, whilst Milan were coming off a 4-0 home win against Venezia and a 3-1 home loss to Liverpool. Obviously, these guys both played Champions League football that week. Milan on the Tuesday, Inter on the Wednesday. And Inter had to travel. Milan were in crisis after one win in 5 games this season, falling 3-1 to Liverpool in the Champions League midweek. Maignan shook off an injury, mashallah, but Calabria, Ciao, Benasser, Sportiello and Florenzi were on the treatment table. Di Marco and Lautaro returned to the Inter starting 11 after a 0-0 draw with Manchester City, and obviously the last 6 derbies were won by Inter, and here we had Fonseca's job on the line. Inter played their classic 3-5-2 formation with Sommer in goal and a backline of Bastoni, Acerbi and Pavard. Di Marco was their left back, Dumfries was their right back, and their midfield three consisted of Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu and Barella, with Thuram and Lautaro up front. Milan experimented. Milan went in with a new system. Some people reported a 4-4-2, some people reported a 4-4-1-1. What Fonseca said is, I didn't fucking change anything. He just changed some systematic things here and there. But this, let's call it a 4-4-1-1 because that's what it did look like to me. Maignan in goal and a backline of Emerson, Gabbia, Tomori and Theo. Reinders and Fofana were in the central midfield with Pulisic on the right hand side, Leao on the left hand side and Morata playing just behind Tammy Abraham in the pocket. Pulisic scored a sensational opener after he intercepted the ball from Mkhitaryan and dribbled down the throat of Inter's tightened defence before finishing past Sommer, giving Milan the lead in the 10th minute. Pulisic showing us that he can do it in the big games.
Absolutely, this season he did it against Liverpool as
well.
Did
it against Liverpool.
Yeah.
And this is in fact his 6th goal contribution this season in as many games. Martinez set up Di Marco with a brilliant give and go, and the Italian scored with a precise low shot into the corner in the 27th minute, levelling the match for Inter. There was a brilliant crossfield ball by Barella to initiate this move, which really spread Milan. And this was when we were watching the game and said, is this a repeat of the Liverpool game? Because Milan started with a bang in the opening 10 minutes and then took their foot off the gas and they weren't able to cope.
Milan started in a higher gear than Inter did the. I don't know if I should get into this now.
That's fine. Go for it.
So the way the match started, first of all, before the match, the atmosphere seemed oddly calm from Inter fans. We had the Inter players walking on the pitch, smiling, joking around, waving at the fans. You know, it almost felt like they knew that they were going to destroy Milan. You know, and it was going to be easy. Milan came out, they looked composed, very composed. I was so surprised, even on the ball, man. Just moving the ball around slowly, calmly, head up, look around, pass, move. It was very, very structured and calm and professional. I think Milan, the way they started, they shocked Inter, they got that goal. And however, when Inter reacted, Milan remained calm and they remained composed.
And that was the main takeaway over here, that Milan typically tend to hit that self-destruct button after they concede a goal, particularly against a side like Inter. How many times have we seen Inter score 2 in quick succession? In the past fucking 4 derbies, that has happened. And even, like in the Champions League semi-final, particularly.
Exactly. And even the goal Milan conceded, margins, we're talking margins, dude. Emerson pressed to cut the channel to Di Marco.
To Di Marco from Lautaro.
Exactly. And he tried to, he extended his foot to attempt a tackle. And the second he was extending it, the ball was played right beneath his foot.
Man.
Right beneath.
He did little wrong there, Emerson.
He did little wrong, but I feel like you have to commit harder. You know, if you're going to close down that space, you need to be mindful that the ball can't get past
I think it was a brilliant release by Lautaro. I can't believe he got the ball away there, which obviously says something because it's gone through a defender, but a fantastic release. That's what Lautaro gives you when he's not banging in goals, right?
And then Emerson, to be fair, really recovered and played a very good game, especially in the second half.
Shortly after, Maignan really kept Milan in the game when he made an excellent save on Thuram's close range shot where Thuram turned Tomori and got a shot from an angle, but Maignan got down fantastically. That was magic Mike Maignan. And shortly after as well, Sommer stopped Leao's header after an Emerson cross that I think Leao should be doing better over there. Yeah. But a brilliant save by Sommer. A
great cross.
Yeah. Milan were awarded a bizarre penalty. I almost forgot about this, G. Milan were awarded a bizarre penalty in the 65th minute where I can't believe the ref put my hopes up that much because clearly it hit the guy's fucking shoulder.
Yeah.
Look, it hit Lautaro's shoulder, and it's not usual that Lautaro makes a defensive error like that. And in fact, he didn't. It was overturned, confirming that Lautaro touched both his shoulder and not his arm. Milan's Tammy Abraham missed a close chance after being set up by a sensational first-time pass by Reinders. A beautiful pass by Reinders, and what a run by Tammy off the ball. It was tough because Sommer positioned himself beautifully, and Tammy's shot, he struck it well, just curved wide at the last second. People criticizing Tammy for that miss. I applaud Tammy for the run. And I thought Sommer was brilliant there. He doesn't have to save the ball to be brilliant. He positioned himself perfect.
Exactly. Tammy's movement was good. He positioned himself good. He angled himself well. He looked up. He saw where he has to shoot. It's just the finish. It wasn't there. And this is something that's been ever present in his career. He's a little bit wasteful.
You know what I would have done there, bro?
You would have what?
L2. Hit it with the outstep.
Personally, I would have just rainbow flicked.
Fuck. Jesus Christ.
I would have missed for sure. Because I'm like, bro, I'm the worst finisher in the world, bro. In those situations, when it comes to 5-a-sides, I'll play a pass decently. But when it comes to actually shooting, I'm disaster.
Okay. My finishing's okay, but that's because typically the keepers are shit in 5
Yeah.
Finally, Reinders had a free kick just outside the area at an angle, and I told Jake, we were literally watching the game, the true story, man.
It's not true.
I tell Jake, should bring on Strahinja until score the header, and Jake goes, haha. I say, or fuck it, just keep Gabbia on and he scores the header. Cross taken, Reinders straight to Gabbia, rises above Frattesi, heads it into the top corner. Sensational win for Milan, 89th minute. And you know what? Milan even had the chance to make it 3-1 with Noah Okafor at the end with an incredible miss. It was essentially an open goal, an unbelievable miss by Okafor. I hope that doesn't haunt him too much. He kind of held back from celebrating for a while until he let loose.
And poor Chukwueze as well. He did so well and he played so selflessly to just give him the goal. You know, he was like, "Here you go, buddy." And he misses the target.
It would have been a good assist for Chukwueze, but let's just say, fantastically deserved win for Milan.
Yes, absolutely.
Can we agree?
Yes.
Super.
Of course, midweek fixtures result in fatigue, right? Inter had a very complicated match against Manchester City. Not to mention that Milan also had a complicated match against Liverpool, right?
A day
earlier, granted with a younger squad. Because that needs to be addressed as well. The fact that Inter have certain players who are aging. With the likes of Acerbi, Mkhitaryan, maybe you can't play them twice in a week in 2 games of this caliber. You know, I mean, Acerbi maybe you can get away with, even though Pulisic absolutely bamboozled him. But Mkhitaryan looked really out of place this game, I thought. I thought he was a step behind every time.
Now Zielinski started the game against City.
Of course, he did. But Mickey still featured, right?
Yeah.
So I guess fatigue might have played a part, but I feel like this was simply the case of Milan wanted it more. Milan prepared for this. It was a do-or-die situation for Milan. It's almost like they were tired of their situation and they just grabbed the situation by the balls and rose above it, you know.
Does this show you that Milan are behind Fonseca?
Yes, absolutely. Because the way they recollected themselves and the way they played, you can tell they were following instructions, man. They were literally... This isn't how Milan typically play. This isn't the Milan we saw last season at all.
No.
So clearly they listened to the instructions of their manager. And even Leao was playing as with the team. He wasn't hogging the ball at all. And I was saying to myself, wow, I was like, Leao really isn't involved. Most of these attacks are going through the middle, and people are looking up and passing selflessly. And the passages of play were actually good. They made sense. I like the way Fofana was dropping deep between the centre backs, collecting the ball, looking up, playing. Every now and then he tries one of those passes still down the middle. I'm sure that's an instruction from Fonseca, just to try get one of those balls to beat, I guess, the line of press. But it just bounces off the opposition, and it gives me a heart attack.
But it worked so often, didn't it? That's what Reinders' through ball to Abraham looked like, of course, in a less risky position, but there were those balls being played down the throat, and I think that was a key feature. First, I want to address, you mentioned the Fofana getting in between Gabbia and Tomori, and I thought that was gorgeous. I thought that off the ball, Milan looked like they were playing a 3-5-2 at times, or maybe even a 3-4-3. But they were doing that stupendously. I thought that not only that, but I also thought Morata coming into the midfield also made a huge difference in linking the midfield to the attack, and also making Milan's midfield more compact, so it's man for man. So there's Çalhanoğlu, Barella, Mkhitaryan up against Fofana, Reinders and Morata. So numerically, Milan really managed to 1v1 Inter, and the play down the middle is what I really enjoyed. I enjoyed how Pulisic and Leao... So Pulisic was really cutting in when Milan were on the ball, and he was making central runs when Milan were on the ball. But also both players were straying wide, stretching Inter, and Milan were playing those balls straight down the middle, particularly Leao's runs off the ball, and Tammy's runs off the ball were really effective in doing just that.
Absolutely.
Now I have a few questions before getting into Milan's various successes in this game. Is Fonseca safe for a while now?
I mean, look, he should have been safe for a while from the get-go. There should have never been conversations about sacking the coach 4 games into the season. It's just unheard of, especially when he's a profile that the management backed and spoke so highly of and believed in so much, I think you need to give any manager, to be honest, at least 10 games before you can just write them off. I mean, this guy clearly has a system in place, and it's going to take time to get his ideas across. There are certain things that he's done that we disagreed with. For example, the whole benching Leao and Theo and some of the things he said. But overall, I think he's held himself he's kept himself quite professionally overall, I think. And considering the pressure and even looking at him, man, you see when he first started, you see an interview of him, and you look at him right before the Inter game in the pre-match interview, the guy has physically changed, in the span of 2 months. The stress must be unbelievable. Let the guy work in peace. I know football is an instant gratification type of industry, whatever, but in no other industry would anyone be sacked after 4 fucking opportunities. So yes, I think he is safe for a while, but they have to be cautious, and the result against Lecce is vital at this point, because that is proof of the turning point, because it's been in the smaller games and Milan haven't got it done.
That's the word I wanted to use, turning point. I think looking at, because this is a historic win for Milan, because Inter were talking about breaking the record for the amount of derbies won in a row, making it 7, and it was all on their mind. Wow, we won our 20th star in their faces, and this and that. So this was a historic victory for Milan, and after looking back at this performance, how could they not be driven, the Milan players? How could they not be behind Fonseca when Fonseca's system worked wonders? And Fonseca even said, he's like, this was the most responsive I've ever seen, this group of players. And of course, there are the individuals that saw Inter win the 2nd star in their faces, like Theo, who was mega driven. But I was not expecting Tammy Abraham and Fofana and Emerson to fucking want it that much. You see Tammy Abraham playing with such passion, such grit. He was a complete leader. And I have to compliment, particularly, I know I could compliment everyone. Fofana, Reinders, Gabbia, Madonna, Gabbia didn't put a foot wrong defensively. Forget the goal. He didn't put a foot wrong.
There was one tackle. It was absolutely incredible.
I always say the same thing about Gabbia, but he is the best at this particular thing, which is knowing when to commit for an interception. He holds his line perfectly, but when he knows he can go and I can fucking win this ball, that decision making is incredible by Gabbia. And alongside Tomori, he has to play.
Yes.
But I want to say, Tammy Abraham and Morata playing alongside each other. We had a discussion before the game and I said maybe it won't work because they're two strikers that misfire and they're two strikers that have a similar play style where they drop deep to link up with the midfielders. Now that could be, and I literally said this to you, it could be a blessing or it could be a curse. It could work or it can suck a fuck.
You remember my counter argument?
Yes, but tell the tell the followers. You remember? Yes, exactly.
I said that Morata and Tammy, granted they're both support strikers, the fact that they're highly intelligent and they're very good with their movement, their main strength is their movement, this could open up many channels for runners in.
Yeah.
And Milan have quite a few players who love to run in. Leao, Pulisic, Reinders can run in as well. And we saw it,
Even Loftus when he came on was running in.
Even Loftus, yes. Choftus. When Morata pulls off one of his dummy runs, and a space opens up, that's when one of the other midfielders attacks. And I think it worked to perfection. The only issue I see with playing Tammy and Morata together is the fact that there's no striker on the bench apart from Jovic. And is Jovic even...
Okafor,
but like...
I think for Morata's role, there's Okafor, there's Jovic who could play that role as well. I think maybe for Tammy there isn't a direct fucking replacement of it. Give me Camarda, man. But the point I was getting to about Tammy and Morata is for Milan's press, because I think a massive amendment that Milan made to the way that they were playing over here, that change Fonseca made naturally, is the press, where Milan were often a very, very... They pressed too much for their own good. They pressed too much against Liverpool after taking the lead.
And it was high block.
Exactly. Yeah. But Milan were so intelligent with it over here. And a lot of that came from not even stopping Çalhanoğlu from distributing the ball, but stopping Çalhanoğlu even getting the ball. With Tammy and Morata really intelligently pressing the back three. The wingers start pushing up slowly. Morata comes down and joins a midfield three. And then Fofana drops deep and then it's fucking 11 players behind the ball. And Milan, for the first time in so long, I saw Milan move and press as a unit and not as individuals.
That's it.
That is how Milan won the game. That's how Milan didn't concede fucking 3 goals.
There's so much to say, bro.
Dog.
I think, first of all, having Gabbia in there is a game changer, and I think it would have been smart to play him against Liverpool as well.
100%.
He is mature beyond his years.
He's 24,
and
dog.
He understands what it means to be at Milan because he is a Milan youth product. He shouldered the responsibility of this derby, and I feel like his leadership he kept the back line organized. When you have Tomori, who's erratic and loves to rush and close down attackers immediately, you can't have Pavlovic next to him until he adapts at least.
Or Chow.
Or Chow. Because Chow, Pavlovic and Tomori love to press the striker immediately. And they leave many gaps.
They're all recovery centre-backs, those.
Gabbia is very, very, very intelligent as a centre-back. And his positional awareness is very good, and I think a call up to the Italian national team might be well deserved.
For
honestly.
sure, you do it now. He's 24 years old. He's 24 years old, bro. By the time this guy is 30, he can captain the national team.
I think he should be a starter for Milan. Honestly, I really liked what I saw last season as well, coming back from Villarreal on loan for 6 months.
Unsung hero.
And he was the unsung hero of Milan. He kept everything organized at the back. Granted, it's a difficult situation because Pavlovic has shown so much promise, and a refined Pavlovic would destroy Gabbia and Tomori because the potential is next level.
Yes.
However, he's still erratic and he needs to get used to it. He's new, Play Gabbia until let Pavlovic settle in peace.
He shows
without
us
making mistakes on the main stage.
Exactly. He shows us good recovery, as does Chow. Pavlovic, I'm saying. Pavlovic and Chow show us good recovery, but they're often out of position like Tomori. So, just for the balance,
Yes.
it's perfect to have Gabbia alongside Tomori. I'll just go through two more things and perhaps we can move on
I
to the
also
next
want to
game.
talk about Morata and his slight tackle on Çalhanoğlu from the get-go to set the tone of the derby.
Was one of my talking points.
It's almost like
they squared up immediately. They squared
Yeah.
up. I fucking, as a Milan fan, I love that, man.
Because I'm
I
not
love
sure
it.
if Morata, because it's almost like he didn't press him immediately. I'm not sure if he realized I should press him tactically, or if he looked up, saw it was Çalhanoğlu, made the connection like, listen, this is a derby. If I go in and Clark Çalhanoğlu right now, I'm going to fucking blow this place up. And he did it. I'm not sure why he went in so hard on Çalhanoğlu from the get-go, but I love it. And that is a form of leadership.
It's that.
It's that? You think it's that, right? It's a populist decision.
1000% it's that. Yeah, he has made it
1000%,
clear.
by the way, is not correct, bro.
He has made it clear, Morata, that when he says he cares about the culture, the history of Milan. He'd look at Çalhanoğlu as the enemy, and they instantly squared up. And the brilliant thing is, in the first half, Bloods were all on yellow cards, and Morata basically got them all.
Bloods,
bro. Bloods, Crips, Bloods. They were all on yellow cards because of Morata.
Absolutely, and that forced Limone's hand.
Yes.
Limon
Bringing
and
on Asllani.
Exactly. He is the king of over management. I
Well,
think.
bro, I would hate to have him as my boss because he micromanages the fuck out of that.
Absolutely.
Can you talk? I'm just gonna, because the door just opened a little bit and I'm afraid for sound quality. So if you could fill it in for a sec.
So, Inzaghi, and check the video as well while you're at it, bro. Make sure everything is well. So, Mkhitaryan, Çalhanoğlu, and Di Marco all got yellow cards, right? Quite early on. Well, Di Marco's was late, but Mkhitaryan got his in the 18th minute and Çalhanoğlu in the 40th minute. In the 63rd minute, Inzaghi did something which last season we criticized him for, right? But it's one of the things that doesn't need to be done because it shows a lack of trust in your players. He just takes out everyone on a yellow. He just removes them. So he took out.
It's a derby, though. It is a derby, though.
It's a derby, sure. It's a derby, but that's more of a reason to keep your strongest
best
players on the pitch, right? Because he took out Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan and brought on Frattesi and Asllani. Now, Mkhitaryan, okay, granted, he's on the older side, right? And Çalhanoğlu, granted, was on a yellow, okay, maybe he was a little bit rattled, but Asllani and Frattesi don't give you what Çalhanoğlu and Miki give you defensively. They're not going to run back and win you the ball like Çalhanoğlu and Miki. They don't have that type of drive in them to slide tackle like Miki and Çalha do. And they're by no means defensive players, but they have very good defensive awareness and they're into.
Weren't they seconds away from Theo dropping dead next to them and getting them sent off? Though, because Milan are very good
but
at
after
that.
these subs, Milan were just playing through the middle and they could have won 4-1.
It's true. And that leads me to another point. You mentioned Milan playing through the middle. Yes. Shout out to Ronan who bought me this when he was in Milan. Not only playing down the middle, Milan often they really use overlaps. Not in this game. The underlap. The underlap was so effective.
Everything was central, bro.
The inverted wing backs coming in and Reinders going wide to link with the wingers. It was just gorgeous.
And funnily enough, forcing Inter out wide as well.
Yes. Yeah, this was just I could go on for days. All I've done in the past few days is you watch highlights and watch podcasts and just watch Mattia Gabbia compilations for Milan's Primavera over and over again. This game, honestly, it meant a lot to me. I know it meant a lot to you as well, but this is where football leaves you speechless because you're expecting things.
We've been talking for an hour.
You think everything's about to go south, everything's gonna get worse, and our team's gonna crumble. But Jesus Christ, man, these are the moments, man. Like goosebumps all around my body. Dare I say, even a fucking boner, man. Everything was. Bro, everything was up and at him.
You were saying some sus shit when Gabbia scored that. I don't know what you were saying. You were saying what were you saying, bro? I can't remember. I can't remember what you were saying. If I remember, I'll mention it in the next one or later on. But you were saying some hilarious stuff, bro.
You can leave it out as well if you want, bro.
I almost couldn't believe it. I was shocked while you were celebrating and screaming. I was just fucking staring.
Because, bro,
you said that he was gonna score, and then he scored. I was like, what? No way. I was like, we saw incorrectly for sure.
I typically jinx it, man,
Yeah.
but that was ridiculous. Even Gabbia's run off the ball, if you look at his run off the ball, it's delicious how he slotted in,
And the
just
celebration.
behind Frattesi, and the celebration, amazing.
Iconic.
But yes, I don't want to go on for too much, but not without obviously saying a congratulations to the man of the match, Reinders, who controlled the tempo of the game. His decision making was flawless. Got the assist as well, which people forget because everyone's going crazy about the homegrown Matteo Gabbia. And also shout out to DiMarco and Gabbia for being the two homegrown players that both contributed in this game with a goal. Pulisic for his 6 goal contributions in 6 matches and scoring against the big teams, really making everyone proud, making America proud, making Milanisti proud, and he's showing that this guy is next level. This guy is the best player in the team technically. And I also just want to say one thing about Inter, without being too tough on them, because they obviously had the game against City. They have an aging squad. They will bounce back definitely. Lautaro is not performing as that lethal player that he was last season yet. He really needs to get a goal, and I think once he gets a goal, Inter will start firing again, and Thuram will start firing again, because there is this over-reliance on DiMarco at the minute, and Barella. Mkhitaryan, I think it is time we start seeing Zielinski a little bit more, not to completely drop Mkhitaryan out of the squad, but I think I am starting to see flaws in Mkhitaryan, which I didn't see last season. And it is only natural to make a shift like that. Hey, that's why they brought Zielinski in the first place.
The problem is he makes it very difficult for the coach because of the way he is as a player. He's an absolute professional, Mkhitaryan, and it shows in the way he plays.
100%.
He's very difficult to bench, I think.
He's a leader.
But even though he could be utilized better, you bring him on later into the game, you get a better version of Mickey. It'll be closer to the Mickey in his prime, like the one season for Fonseca with Roma, where Mickey was scoring pretty much every game.
Madonna, he was one of the top scorers. Just for context, bro, 50 minutes in, so just be mindful. What was I going to say? Are we leaving anything out from the derby? Because I would hate not to mention something.
I don't think so. Shout out to that one fan who was in the Milan kit, surrounded by Inter fans, who was there for the celebrations for good players' goal. I don't think we're missing anything though. No.
I don't think so. We could talk about Theo Hernandez, who also had a good game.
I was surprised by the amount of leaders that popped up for this game, because we criticized Milan for not having a leader last week.
And everyone was a leader.
And everyone showed up, man. And Morata proved himself, Gabbia proved himself, Theo I liked.
One more question.
Leo complaining when being subbed needs to kind of stop, but you know what, man?
Remove it.
It's probably part of what makes him... Where Leo has come in his life is because of this character trait he has, probably.
I don't want to excuse it because Milan did well and that Leo had a decent selfless game, apart from that one shot he had from distance. Perhaps there's that quality. I think he needs to refine it a little bit, because I would hate for everyone to be behind the coach but the star man. I think that's it.
Okay, fantastic. So we can move on to Juve 0, Napoli 0. So the lineups for this game.
Can you pass me some water, please, dog?
I don't have... Oh shit, I can't zoom any more than this. That's tragic. 1 second, I have the team sheet here as well. Okay, nice. So, Perin was not in goal for Juve. It was Di Gregorio in goal for Juve in a 4-2-3-1 formation, with Savona, Kalulu, Bremer and Cambiaso at the back, with Locatelli and McKennie forming the double pivot, with Gonzalez and Yildiz flanking Coop Miners, with Dusan Vlahovic up front. For Napoli, it was a surprise 4 at the back system for Antonio Conte. I can't remember the last time I've seen this. I can't remember if I've ever seen this, actually. Meret was in goal. Of course, fell injured this game, but he did start. The back 4 formed Di Lorenzo, Rahmani, Bongiorno and Oliveira, with a midfield 3 of Anguissa, Lobotka and Scott McTominay. Politano and Kvaratskhelia flanked Romelu Lukaku.
Not injured, but he was feeling unwell. He was under the weather.
diarrhea. So yes, Gatti, of course, you'll notice, was missing. He was only fit enough for the bench after a midweek ankle injury. Before the game started, there was a minute of silence for Toto Schillaci, of course, the late Toto. It was ruined by a Napoli fan who started shouting and swearing in Neapolitan. Apparently he said something in Neapolitan slang that means trash, essentially, and then chaos ensued. This is Juve's third straight goalless draw. One might have thought that their 3-1 victory over PSV in the Champions League would have meant that they were past it, but it turns out PSV are quite an open team and they attack you, while in Italy teams tend to hang back a little bit and make it more of a difficult task for you. This was not as drab as Juve's other 0-0s, in my opinion. It was quite exciting, and it was quite end-to-end at times, and it was a tactical battle. We saw, for example, at some points, first of all, Scott McTominay was everywhere.
Scott McTominay was brilliant.
At one point, I think he was also playing as a second striker. In the positions he took. So just to give you a quick rundown of the game, the first 20 minutes saw no shots. Yildiz and Nico were crossing well, but it was all in vain because there weren't enough runners in the box, or simply there wasn't enough quality from their striker, of course, Dusan Vlahovic. The first true shot of the game was taken by Scott McTominay just before the half-hour mark. Of course, Meret was sick and was replaced by Caprile, who didn't have to deal with a single shot for the rest of the game. Di Gregorio produced a fine save on Politano's free kick, and that was the save of the game. The second half saw Motta taking out Vlahovic for Wea, which gives you shades of Zirkzee. You can see what he's trying to do, right? Maybe he's given Vlahovic 5 starts. Clearly, he's not very happy with what he's seen, and he wants to replicate what he had going on at Bologna with a more mobile striker. Maybe this was a warning sign or warning shot at Vlahovic, but benching him at halftime in a big game like Napoli goes to show that Motta did not believe in this guy at all to score for them, because that's a risk, you know. You want Vlahovic in that situation ideally. So I guess he thinks stylistically he doesn't quite fit, right? It must be.
I think so, and we discussed, because obviously we don't have, apart from Motta's time at Spezia and his, let's say, brief time at Bologna, we saw him play with a Zirkzee-like striker front. We saw him with Zirkzee at Bologna, and we saw him with Nzola at Spezia, who he utilized in that manner. As a
sometimes
striker,
Agudelo as a false 9. Remember that?
Yes,
that was mental.
And it was interesting to see what he was gonna do striker-wise when he joins Juve, because Vlahovic isn't this typical striker that Motta enjoys utilizing in his system. However, he is a striker that Juve brought in for whatever, 70 million euros. And is a very complete striker. He's good at linking up play. He's got good pace. He's got good strength. He's good in the air. He's good from dead balls. He's a great finisher. However, what he has shown us is incredible inconsistency. And
being a little bit wayward with his back towards goal, man. He's really not as good as he should be, I feel like. I don't know if I remember incorrectly, bro, but at Fiorentina he was quite good, in those situations. Or was he always played through? He was always played through, right? And you can get away with it when you play for a team like Fiorentina, who aren't underdogs by any means, but, you know, teams will attack Fiorentina, so they can hit you on the counter. But when you're playing for a team like Juve and your opponent is just going to sit back for the entire game, you can't play. You need to be good at playing with your back towards goal. You know, you're going to receive the ball facing your team. You need to hold up play for your teammates. You need to, be the reference point up there. Let me just quickly finish this rundown.
Of course.
And we'll get to the talking points. Napoli had 2 decent chances, but the majority of possession soon fell to Juve. Oliveira passed the ball back to Caprile, who picked it up, and Motta was given a yellow card for protesting. Coop Miners and Yildiz failed to hit the target from very promising situations. 2 very good chances over there, particularly Coop Miners. The fatigue really kicked in with 10 minutes to go in the game. Simeone shot from half pitch and missed the target, and then the game ended.
I was particularly pleased by the performance of McTominay in this game. I think what he showed us isn't he a Conte player? Isn't that
Absolutely
what Conte
he is.
looks for
He
in
was
a midfielder?
everywhere. He was everywhere.
Completely. And I think what people tend to forget is because when he was brought through at United, Mourinho often utilized him as a defensive midfielder. And he said, in an interview, Mourinho said, I fucking love Scott McTominay. He was starting... I think it's a tough because there's no z. When I say the z, I think Scott is a fantastic. I'm not doing it well. No,
it wasn't bad, but you've lost your confidence.
I've lost my confidence. I was put on the spot.
So, in fact, thank you for listening, guys.
This is our betting segment.
Stay tuned. That will have a surprise at the end.
But so when he was brought through at United, Mourinho played him as a defensive midfielder. But what people tend to forget is that through and through, bro is a secondary striker or an attacking midfielder. That's where he plays for Scotland. That's where he played in his youth. And he really shows us that he is talented all across the midfield. Yeah. He's got great stride to him when he carries the ball upfield. He can really win the ball back and carry it forward. He is quite similar to Anguissa in that way, where him and Anguissa fit that kind of profile, and then you've got Lobotka that is a completely different midfielder. But he can play behind Lukaku, he can play instead of Anguissa, and again, these are the players that Conte loves having in his system.
He caused Juve quite a few problems, particularly because his movement was pulling Kalulu out of position and creating space for Napoli's attackers. However, Motta dealt with this in the second half by freeing Locatelli to track McTominay to keep Kalulu even deeper to prevent isolation in that part of the pitch. It was really a tactical chess match.
It was. And like I said earlier, I think the next match we're going to see between these two teams is going to be completely different, because what we saw is two managers that are still inserting their systems into this team, and it's just a little bit of growing pains at the moment. But also with great respect for the opponent, because both these teams can really hit you on the break and they can devastate you on the break, particularly Napoli with the amount of pace that they have, but then also the quality that Juve have. Of course, they've struggled for goals, but if you give Juve the opportunity, if you're pressing high up and Juve break through, then they can score. Teams have just really adapted well to playing Juve by playing a low defensive block and not allowing them to break through, and putting Vlahovic in those situations where he struggles and not giving him space to have a strike, you know?
It's true. As simplistic as this sounds, in order to replicate what Motta had going for him at Bologna, he is missing two of the key pieces of that system, right? Calafiori and Xerxes.
Completely.
Now, Bremer, this game, was probably the best player on the pitch for Juve. I think he was absolutely unbeatable in the air. He was dominant in the box. Him on one side, Rahmani on the other. Two amazing defensive performances. However, I feel like there are some moments where Bremer's play is a little bit too conservative. He plays horizontal passes. He plays vertical passes. His horizontal passes are limited. And he prevents quick transitions, when Calafiori in reality would really motivate and push and encourage the build-up from the back. He's missing two key pieces over there. So the way it works at the back, and then I think Kalulu was given a little bit of freedom trying to replicate
which he's good at doing. Kalulu,
he can do it. He can do it very well.
Back. He can do that.
Interesting to see Conte changing to a 4-2-2-2 as the game progressed, with McTominay actually playing as a second striker, with Lukaku, Politano and Kvaratskhelia playing narrower, and Di Lorenzo and Oliveira attacking the wide spaces for Politano and Kvaratskhelia to tuck inside. Di Lorenzo seems to be on some good form. He seems to be back to his old self, let's just say that.
After bombing up and down the right after seeing him as a right centre-back.
Absolutely. And I think for these teams, the main priority was do not lose, right? Do not concede. They are two teams that will be fighting for the title. Why not? And there are two teams who are going to be a nightmare for most of these sides to score against. And so, you've got Conte's Napoli, and they're really coming in out of their shell now after a horrible start against Hellas Verona. And Juve, who haven't conceded a single goal yet this
Madonna,
season.
and they're like,
Granted,
it's not
3-0 in a row.
It's
but
not
that's still
that they
impressive.
hog possession by any means. Their defense is impenetrable.
This to me
Juve.
screams we have the basics set.
Exactly.
We know how to keep you
Let's
out.
glitter
Once
now.
we figure out how to score, we're either going to take the league by storm, or scoring will actually require players to come out of their conservative positions and therefore allow more goals conceded.
Isn't it like the opposite start to Milan, both in like let's call
Literally.
Milan start positive if this is the turning point. Let's talk about Milan again. Actually, I'm joking.
It's true, though.
But
You're
it's
absolutely right.
it's like Fonseca's reverse engineering what Motta is doing. Motta. Bro couldn't believe I said reverse engineering.
Like, wow, bro, got a degree or something.
I was gonna say.
You were going to say that basically Fonseca and Motta took opposite approaches
Aha.
to their teams.
Now, probably Motta's is a little bit smarter.
Yes.
But I think he has the quality, and it's in time this team is going to gel. It's good that they had the game that they did against PSV where they got themselves 3 goals. And let's keep in mind this team are capable of scoring because they put 3 past Hellas Verona. They put 3 past someone else as well. Hellas Verona and someone else. They won their first 2 games 3-0. Lecce, I think.
I'm not
With
sure.
Lecce and Verona.
I'm just
Let me
here
have a
thinking.
look,
I could be
please.
Googling.
But I think so. So they are more than capable. And it is good that if Vlahovic isn't doing it, at least Motta has a vision where he could play way up front. Because I was worried that it'd just have to be a direct swap with Milik, if
No,
that's the case.
The same thing. It was Hellas Verona, Como.
And Como,
Yes.
of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting to see what happens in January if Vlahovic doesn't get going, huh? Because they
are
would
going
need
to
to bring in
make
another
moves.
profile.
But they've already spent a lot of money. And but Giuntoli must be cooking.
He must.
He must be cooking.
must, yes.
Who's a player in Serie A that you see fitting into that system? That's an interesting one.
Castro of Bologna. Obviously, not ideal for them too early. Goodmanson, Albert Goodmanson.
Nah, but
He would
but
be
come
perfect.
on, who's someone they can go for?
Someone they can actually go for.
Funnily enough, I don't see Moise Keane being terribly
Morata,
in
bro,
that
would have
role.
been the perfect profile.
It's true.
Morata, and they were linked to him. I think Motta would have loved to have Morata.
It's true.
In that
probably,
position.
Probably.
But yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to add. I'm very excited to see both these teams as time goes on. And I'm curious to see how Juve are going to start scoring, because now it's getting a little bit ridiculous.
It is.
And then I'm very, very surprised by Conte's tactical flexibility this game. His approach was
is
astounding.
One of the things I told you is when we were previewing Conte's potential move to Milan is Conte's lack of plan B. But it seems like as football is changing, so can Conte.
The game's
Conte
alive.
can remain flexible.
Yes.
But this was stylistically a very nice chess match to observe.
2 more things. Szczesny was honored at the start of the game. And, apparently there's a clause in his contract that if he joins a new club, he has to pay a fine, by the way. Very interesting. But whatever, I don't know enough about that. And also, Moggi was at the game and he looks like he's melting. And there was another thing I can't quite remember.
It's probably fucking important.
No, it's not. That's it. It was just someone was at the game or something like that. Yes, Conte's lap of honor at the end. When the Napoli our players went to thank the away sector, Conte walked with them, but then continued. He went his own way to take a lap around the Juve stadium and just clapped.
Fair enough. That's
The
sweet.
entire time.
That's
But he
sweet.
was booed when his name was called out at the beginning of the game.
but-
But that's part of it, you know. That's,
You can't
Yes.
give the fans what they give you.
Yeah.
Never.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Conceição was also missing. I think it'll be great when he comes back for
Yeah.
Juve.
Pogba's also missing, for Juve.
Pogba, yes, doping. Look at that. Mario Rui wasn't there. coach's decision is the reason. Explain that to me. I have no idea. But yes, that's that. Let's move on.
Next game is Roma 3, Udinese 0. Roma coming off a 1-1 away draw to Genoa, which saw De Rossi sacked, and Udinese coming off a 3-2 away win against Parma in very dramatic fashion. Roma were in chaos as De Rossi was sacked, then shortly after CEO Lina Suluku stepped down and the team was still winless in Serie A. The Ultras left the Curva Sud empty in protest for the first 30 minutes, and there were numerous empty seats throughout the arena, around the arena. Juric immediately changed to a three-man defence, but with Leffe and Salamakers injured, and Hermoso and Hummels not yet 100%, there were few changes made to the actual starting 11. The Friulani went into this weekend as a surprise Serie A leader, with a draw and 3 straight victories despite missing Sanchez and Gianetti. It was a 3-5-1-1 formation for Juric's men. This is going to take some getting used to as Roma once again, from a Mourinho side, a pragmatic Mourinho side, to an offensive De Rossi side, back to a pragmatic side, but getting 3 goals in their first game.
Yes.
Svilar in goal on the backline of Angelino, Indica and Mancini, and instantly you see Angelino playing as a centre-back over there, and I'm sorry, but I'm 5 years old, and I think Angelino is like 5'6", and he's playing centre-back. That's how my mind works.
Oh no, with a 3 at the back, you get away with it. You can't have one
true.
little man over there.
El Shaarawy played out on the left with Celik out on the right, and a midfield trio of Pellegrini, Pisilli and Cristante, with Dybala playing behind Dovbyk. It was a 3-4-2-1 formation for Udinese with Okoye in goal and the backline of Kabasele, Bijol and Christensen, Ezibwe on the right, Kamara on the left, and a midfield double pivot of Karlstrom and Ekelkamp, with Tuvon and Brenner flanking the formidable Lorenzo Lucca. Now, in the 19th minute, El Shaarawy played a through ball to Dovbyk, who raced forward and slotted a low-angled shot past Okoye to give Roma the lead. A brilliant finish. More of that, please, Dovbyk. Early in the second half, Roma were awarded a penalty as Dybala was fouled by Bijol after some brilliant hustle and play by Dovbyk. Dybala converted the penalty himself with a top corner shot, doubling Roma's lead, an absolutely no bullshit fuck you who hurt you penalty by Dybala. And then the 71st minute, Baldanzi scored his first goal for Roma after a give and go with Dovbyk. He finished with a composed one-on-one strike past the Udinese goalkeeper, and that's his first goal for Roma, so much passion over there by Baldanzi after his goal.
Yeah, he was doing the whole arms out, head bobbing.
The Inzaghi. Pippo Inzaghi. Dovbyk found the net again later in the match, but the goal was ruled out for offside after a Leandro Paredes pass, and it was a 3-0 victory for Roma. I will talk about the instant impact. This is Roma's first win of the season. Yes, it is their first win of the season.
And
their first match under Juric.
In an emphatic way, they won.
What do you think? How did Roma play? Obviously, they went up against Udinese, who, so far, they looked very good.
There is unrest at Roma. Apparently, Mancini and I think Pellegrini.
And Cristante. I think Pellegrini and Cristante.
Something like that. They went and they were asking for answers, right? Why was De Rossi sacked? Because
I know
there was a lack of transparency.
I know that Pellegrini and Cristante were booed for some reason.
Okay, Cristante, and probably it's performance related. No, I mean. Cristante is often scapegoated. Pellegrini is quite moody as a player. However, the fact that they, as you said, extended De Rossi's contract.
I'm going to stop you, sorry, because this is probably a bad translation that they were booed. They were probably protesting.
Yeah.
It's probably a negative, it's a bad translation.
It
makes sense.
Be, bro, because I believe, I thought it was Mancini, but no problem. Basically, 2 Roma players went to the management and asked them for answers. Why was De Rossi sacked? Hasn't he just signed a 3-year contract? Aren't we only 4 games into the season? Why are you sacking the head coach? You know, we brought all these players in and we're giving them a terrible impression. You know, you're destroying the team essentially. You've employed a coach who's similar to the man you sacked in Mourinho. similar in a way that he's more conservative, right?
Yes.
Prioritizes the defensive structure. With De Rossi, you had something you were building, something unique, something progressive, something fluid, something fun to watch. It just screams lack of direction. And the way the Friedkins operate, I think they've turned their fan base against them. The only way that they can get out of this now is by changing the fortune of the team on the pitch, because if they start winning, people will forget. The thing is, I'm sure that De Rossi's sacking had something to do with insisting to play Dybala when they were trying to force him out. Juric has come in and he's also playing him, so I can't wrap my head around.
Can I rewind,
please,
a little bit? Let's rewind. 2 seasons ago, or last season,
yes,
Roma started the season with Mourinho. They sacked him quite quickly. I believe they sacked him before January, or in January. They brought in De Rossi, and we were both like, this seems a bit like an erratic decision. Okay?
It was a crazy decision.
And you said...
someone who only has Spal on his CV.
Exactly. And you said... The exact words you said were, this is a lose-lose for Roma. Said, because if they bring him in and he overperforms, they're gonna need to give him a contract. If they give him a contract next season, we're gonna start seeing his limitations, because we're not gonna see that new manager drive by Roma, because he's an inexperienced coach, unless he's one of the Holy Trinity or the Zidanes, the Pep Guardiolas, and all these guys that in their debut seasons are with fucking Real Madrid and Barcelona winning all the trebles, which I doubt.
Yeah,
we doubted that he would be, and that's exactly what happened. So if you look at how Roma are run overall, I think over there, it's not only that they just up and sacked De Rossi, but it was the Mourinho decision, it was the appointment of De Rossi, it was the extension of De Rossi after, let's be real, De Rossi came in, made them look good, he made them look like an offensive team. Some players were revived from the dead, like Pellegrini, for example. Now they finally got him some good talent as well. But at the end of the day, last season, what did De Rossi do? He didn't manage to advance in the Europa League. He lost against Leverkusen in the Europa League, who Atalanta then beat. They demolished in the final. And they came 6th in Serie A, with 5 spots for them to get Champions League. So last season was a failure. So I think, despite Roma fans having that emotional connection with De Rossi, I think on paper, this management didn't have this huge opinion. The problem is that they're fucking around, and it's the same thing these American owners did with our team. They're fucking around with the legacy of the team. Yes. Like Redbird fucked around with Maldini. These guys are fucking around with De Rossi.
Yes, they don't respect the culture. That's it. It's cutthroat. They bring in a cutthroat mentality. Now, it's not even like the Friedkins are a massive corporation. They're a family, I believe. They just...
they're cutthroat. And then they're like, okay, now you step down. Take full fucking responsibility. Make us look good.
Yes, exactly. You see, that's so toxic. The thing is, you can't do that. When you have a club with a rich history and such passion like Roma, and you have, in Italian they call them a bandiera, a flag, an icon of the club in De Rossi. You know, I mean, you ask any Roma fan, it's Totti followed by De Rossi.
Exactly.
Always exactly. And you fucking sack him. It's 4 games into the season after extending him. It's just ridiculous.
It is.
But anyway, I think if they gave him a 3-year contract, that was the first mistake. If they weren't sure if they were going to be so quick to to react, but whatever.
But let's get into the tangibles, because Roma looked very different. They switched to a 3-man defense, and they immediately looked much more organized. They were playing against an Udinese that scored 3 in their last game.
It's
An
familiar
Udinese
for
that
many
can
of these
score
players.
goals.
Many of these players play in a back three quite regularly with their national team, with the Mourinho side in the past. Yes.
That more tactical discipline as well. We see Roma last game conceding in the 96th minute against Genoa. We saw none of that over here. And they also had 8 shots to Udinese. In the first half, Roma had 8 shots and Udinese had 0. So they really were in full control. Dovbyk looked a lot more like himself, and he was involved in every goal. Now, obviously, that isn't completely down to Juric, although I really like how close he was playing to Dybala, and how it's like, oh, our striker isn't doing well when Sule is on one side, Salamaker is on the other side, or Dybala's on the other side. Dybala's a genius. Get him as close as possible. Like he played with Lukaku.
Yeah.
Lukaku was never out of the game completely because Dybala brought him into it. And I feel like that is a really nice budding relationship, and I really think that's the best way to get more out of Dovbyk.
My question is, what about Sule?
Now the thing is, they made signings for a 4-3-3 formation.
Yeah. Totally. They
Clearly.
an entire campaign focused around the 4-3-3.
This could be good for Salamakers, because Salamakers, to me, okay, he's a great left winger. In my opinion, even better left wing back.
Of course, I agree.
He could be a fantastic left wing back in place of El Shaarawy. But Sule, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe Juric is also no stranger to the 3-4-2-1. He is no stranger to that.
That would be better for Sule, but we'll see.
Dybala's gonna get injured at some point.
some
Obviously,
point
knock
it has
on
to
wood,
happen,
this and that. Sorry, Roma fans. But of course, Dybala's gonna get injured at some point.
Yeah.
And Udinese were frustrated with Roma's discipline. They struggled to create chances, and when they did attack, they were hit by violent counter-attacks. That's where Roma were good. On the counter over here, pretty much every single thing that they created came from counter-attack. And also Udinese started each half very poorly, and they made a lot of individual errors defensively. Jaka Bijol giving away the penalty as well. But yes, it's despite all of the controversy behind the scenes, on the pitch, Roma can be hopeful. They can be hopeful.
It's true, yes. And Thuvan, by the way, you mark him out of the game. If Sanchez isn't there, at least you can pretty much cut out their creative flow. You know, Brenner isn't that type of player. He doesn't have the offensive imagination that Thuvan has.
Exactly.
Very good, bro. Yes,
That's it from my end.
a massive victory though
crazy.
on the bright side for Roma fans.
No, something to be hopeful about.
Yes.
And best thing these owners can do is ensure good performances coming up, keep the pressure up on Juric, so that at least the fans could see, okay, they hurt my feelings, but it was all for the good of the team.
Yes. Fiorentina beat Lazio 2-1 at home, and their formation, Fiorentina, was a 3-5-2 kind of thing going on there, with De Gea in goal, Comizzo, Martinez, Quarta, and Biraghi playing at the back, with Dodo and Gosens out wide, with Bove, Mandragora, and Cataldi in the middle, and Colpani playing alongside Keane up front. Of course, Colpani playing just off the shoulder of Keane. For Lazio, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation. Provedel in goal, Lazzari, Patrick, Hila, and Nuntavar. How was it? Nuntavesh?
I think Nuntavs. I really don't know.
Nuno Tavares, basically, at the back.
Nuntavs.
Yeah. Guendouzi and Castrovilli formed the double pivot, with Isaksen, Dia, and Zaccani playing behind Noslin, who was the lone striker, in theory, this game. So basically, to summarize this game, I can tell you that Albert has arrived, okay? Albert Gudmundsson has landed. Of course, he did not start this game, but he did come on in the second half. So let's get going with what happened this game. So initially, Fiorentina did struggle with their 3-5-2 formation. The absence of Pongracic in defense left the backline quite vulnerable, and Kumutso, making his first full debut alongside Quarta, was unable to neutralize Lazio's attacking waves, of course. Captain Biraghi was playing out of position as a central defender, kind of like you said about Angelino. Maybe he's a little bit too frail for that position, but what he lacks in size, he makes up for in grit, no, Biraghi. He struggled, though, both positionally and discipline-wise, because he did get a yellow card very early on in the game, and it kind of threw him off, I think. The defensive structure was quite disjointed, and they were conceding too much space, making them quite susceptible to counter-attacks and set pieces. At halftime, of course, in fact, no, they did concede from a set piece in the 41st minute through Gila, who celebrated in a very annoying way.
It's his first goal as well.
How did he do
it? Well, celebrated completely normally. It's we said that he lacks aura.
Yes. Negative aura, as the kids say these days.
El aura is what they say. Might as well call him Laura.
Laura. At halftime, Palladino recognized the need for a change and shifted to a 4-2-3-1 formation, restoring the balance and defensive solidity. He brought Dodo and Gosens on as fullbacks, with Comuzza and Ranieri forming a central defensive partnership. Fiorentina therefore gained control of the midfield, with Bove and Cataldi operating as a double pivot, covering the defence and dictating the tempo of the game. The turning point, of course, came when Albert Gudmundsson started cooking. He played as a central attacking midfielder, but it was totally a free role, as we discussed in the intro of this episode, dropping in, as you mentioned, sometimes to the right back position, asking for the ball and playing it, and immediately moving and asking for it again. And
this is exactly what they need.
His teammates were happy to play him the ball.
No shit.
It's clear that he's a very good player. His movement between the lines and his ability to break through Lazio's defense totally shifted the momentum of the game, and he won a penalty immediately, which he converted. Another penalty was won, and he converted that eventually later on as well. But it was totally overwhelming for Lazio. They became more organized, they became tighter, Fiorentina, and suddenly they had this player who they just couldn't keep up with. And that was basically it, brother.
I mean, he came in, he won fouls all around the pitch, he won every single duel that he was involved in. He was everywhere. If you open up his heat map, have his heat map open if you just want to have a ponder at this.
Jesus
He's
Christ.
Literally absolutely everywhere around the pitch.
That's
and
wild.
that is maybe something that we saw Fiorentina struggle with, was this disjointed kind of nature. It's like they're anything but a well-oiled machine. I see the vision in the team. Literally, I think it's a good team on paper. I think the first thing I would do over here now is drop Bove and put in Gudmundsson, and I think they're set, because what Gudmundsson does is he gels the team together completely. Obviously they are going to have an over-reliance on him once he comes in, because he is the change maker in this team. I think they were hoping Colpani would give them a bit more of that, a bit more of creating something out of nothing, but he's given them absolutely none of that. And I think Gudmundsson coming in, it's the best thing that Fiorentina could have hoped for. Wow, Fiorentina must hope that this guy doesn't get convicted. Jesus Christ. Because if he gets convicted, they're in serious fucking trouble.
Yes, and Gudmundsson playing and being the focal point of the opposition is fantastic news for someone like Colpani, who will have more space to operate.
100%.
This Fiorentina team has a bunch of individuals who are extremely entertaining to watch. We're talking about Adli on the bench, for example, comes in and starts pinging those balls across the top. Colpani and Gudmundsson, of course. Colpani hasn't impressed me at all since he's joined Fiorentina. Nothing at all, but we know what he's capable of, and that can be quite...
We know what he's capable of. Let's hold the brakes for a second.
I'm not going to hold the brakes.
Because last season, the season before that, and the season before that, and,
he was coming
through.
Shell, right?
Yes,
coming through.
Last season he came out of his shell, and let me tell you what, had a fantastic start to the season. Dipped for a long time, at least contribution-wise and whatever, then came back at the end. But he had an inconsistent season last year.
But that's how it starts for players.
That's how it starts,
standard
yes.
trajectory. And now he's changed club, which there's also a bit of a learning curve, an adaptation period, let's call it that. Colpani, the things he did with Monza weren't normal. They were fantasista-esque.
It's true. No, he's a cool player. He's a cool player.
So there is something there. The question is, can you get it out of him? Palladino is someone who has already gotten it out of him a bit. So it almost feels like it's a matter of time before we see a flash of what he can do. You know, he will. And Maltese would say, "Hayakhsat." You know, he will.
He's going to shock
us. He will. He will absolutely shock us at any point. And I'm very excited to see more of this Richardson, man. I mean, Richardson. He's a giant.
Every time we come, I really enjoy watching him.
He's good, man.
They
have a very, very interesting team, Fiorentina, and I think it will come together for them. And this was a good sign for the future as well. 2 penalties, but 2 penalties well earned for them. Lazio went stale. They couldn't react. The substitutions they made in the second half failed to impact the game. Chauna coming on didn't really do much. Noslin was a little bit stale from the get-go. Not to mention Marisic as well, not really influencing the game at all. But yeah, that was pretty much it, brother.
I just want to give a shout out to Dodo, because ever since he's been back, he's been brilliant, and he was up against Nuno Tavares and Mattia Zaccagni, and I think he did a fantastic job. I think the Nuno Dodo battle was quite an entertaining one. I think they both had opportunities to break through each other because naturally they both like to attack. Dodo in nature is a more advanced right wing back. Nuno plays as a left back, but naturally, obviously, he's very, very offensive and he leaves a lot of space to be manipulated. That's where Hila came in and did a great job of covering, though. Hila likes to insert himself in that left back area and stop the runner.
Similar player to Gabbia.
Exactly.
Also, by the way, important to mention that Castellanos was not available. He was injured for this game, and that actually affected Lazio quite a lot.
Completely.
Yes.
Completely.
He's had a very good season so far.
And also, interesting that Rovella didn't start.
Because they gave a shot to, what's his name?
Castrovilli.
Yeah, Castrovilli.
Castrovilli,
Who, the coach hailed him to be a good player. He was a little bit quiet this game.
Yeah. Pedro obviously coming on as well and showing us experience and technique.
Yeah, the usual.
The usual, good old reliable.
I wonder when he'll retire, Pedro. Because
probably in like 25 years.
Let's move on to the next one, bro.
Let's do Verona 2, Torino 3. Verona coming off a 2-1 away loss to Lazio, while Torino were coming off a 0-0 home draw to Lecce, and we're like, are Torino gonna dip? They are now the league leaders.
Yes.
In this game, they missed new signing Saul Cocco, along with Shures and Voivoda, actually, whilst Verona have a list of injured players. They've got Duda, Serdar, Suslov, Cruz, Castanos, and Harrui out injured, and these aren't jokes. They're
good.
Potential starters. Right?
Wait, Castanos played, no? Castanos played and scored.
Castanos played and scored. Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's an error, so let me just do that again. Verona missed Duda, Serdar, Suslov, Cruz, and Harrui. And yes, they are actually missing those. So Verona lined up in a 3-4-1-2 formation with Montepò on goal and a backline of Davidovic, Coppola and Magnani, Lazovic as a left wing back, Chachua as a right wing back, with Silva and Belayan and the double pivot, Castanos playing just ahead of them, and Sar alongside Tenkstedt up front. Whereas it was a 3-5-2 formation for Torino, with Milinkovic-Savic in goal and a backline of Valukevic, Maripan and Mazina. It was Lazaro out on the right, Sosa out on the left, and a midfield three of Tamez, Ricci and Ilic, with Duvan Zapata playing alongside Tony Tone Sanabria. Now in the first half, Torino took the lead as Sanabria finished a 1-on-1 after a very clever flick-on from Zapata, but weak defending by Verona as they just went straight through, broke through their line of defense very easily. However, Verona equalized immediately with Castanos' deflected shot from a corner routine, assisted by Lazovic. Classic play the ball outside the box, you have one runner in that dummies, and then just the centre midfielder has a strike. Massive deflection, but a well-worked routine by Verona. Verona's Davidovic was shortly after sent off for elbowing Sanabria during a corner. This is honestly my pet peeve, because you just got the equalizer against Torino. You're actually doing well this season. There's no frustration. Suck it up and please resist the urge to hit another human being in the face.
Especially when you're a player with with experience, like Davidovic, international experience, 29 years old, has been in the league for a while. Relax.
And he gave away a penalty.
Yeah.
Just elbowed the guy in the face off the ball, got sent off, and conceded a penalty. Now, Sanabria hit the post from the resulting penalty, and his follow-up goal was disallowed because the ball hit the post and didn't touch any other player, fell straight back to Sanabria, and also, obviously that's a 2-touch. But obviously, despite the missed penalty, advantage Torino. They have an entire second half now to play with a man up. But actually, before the second half, they restored their lead with a powerful Zapata header after a Lazaro cross. And obviously after that, Verona's heads were probably down. In the second half, Shea Adams scored Torino's third goal after intercepting a very, very poor back pass from Coppola. To be fair, Magnani's tracking back where he looked super slow. He looked super slow and then backed up way too much, giving Shea Adams all the space in the world. And Shea Adams had an early strike as the goalkeeper was blinded and he slotted it into the bottom corner.
Blinded and off his line.
Yeah.
Which I would imagine it's natural to come out to make the goal smaller, but Magnani was still kind of relevant in that situation, so perhaps he came out a little bit prematurely.
Perhaps. If we're looking into it so much, because I look at that and think Magnani.
I think
all day. Oh,
and Shea Adams, what an intelligent goal, huh? Very intelligent.
Completely.
If he can score that, he's gonna do decently.
Did you notice how he waited for the defender to spread his legs and he just slotted it through?
Yeah.
That's a technique. I always, when I see the ball go under someone's legs, I'm like, well, that's a lucky coincidence, because I've never meant to nutmeg someone in that way. It always just kind of happens.
Yeah.
But that was definitely calculated. Verona pulled one back in injury time as Mosquera scored after a defensive error by Mazzina, as she was dispossessed, to be fair, by a very well-pressed Belayane. Belayane was pressing brilliantly, won the ball back high up, and assisted Mosquera.
He'll make a big move.
Belayane,
For sure.
Belayane and Saul Cocco.
Yes.
They're the ones that will make...
But
Saul Cocco was
of course,
injured.
Cocco is with Torino as well. Belayane, of course.
Yes. You're...
Yeah, Verona.
You're right.
Duvan Zapata.
And Lionel Messi. Mela. To be fair to Verona, because they were okay, they conceded early, got one back immediately, and then Davidovic goes and ruins the game early on. What are your comments about something stupid like that?
And Verona have shown that they're a team that has quite a bit of fight in them now, and they prepared for the season well, and they're quite well drilled and well oiled, and they could have really given a game to this Torino, and they did give them a game with a man down for the majority of it. So a game ruined by Davidovic, to be honest. Totally ruined.
Completely. We saw a lot of defensive errors. Coppola made obviously Davidovic. Coppola, who with a horrible back pass, and I really think once again that Magnani could have done much better over there as well. And Mazzina obviously giving the ball away to Belayane like that. It's just it was quite a shootout, this game, and it was there were quite a few individual errors as well. But fuck the errors. Let's talk a bit about Duvan Zapata, because he is on incredible form this season, and obviously we all know what he's capable of. But ever since the appointment of this new manager, he's really come out of his shell, and he's showing that. Firstly, he's fantastic in the air, and secondly, just the way he's linking up with his teammates is fantastic. He looks like he did at Atalanta.
And this was ever since he joined Torino for under Juric. Right?
Under Juric
kind of gave him a second wind.
But Vanoli,
he looks even
more.
better. Yes. This was a player who looked finished at Atalanta, right? We're he's probably leaving the league now, going to a lower league, but not at all. He's one of the best headers in the game,
and
a very difficult striker to deal with for most centre backs. And if he finds himself against one of the right backs in an aerial duel, it's game over.
It's done.
Yeah.
Obviously scored a Scored a header against Milan as well in Matchday
And
1.
Sanabria and Shea Adams are two perfect partners for him. And not to
100%.
mention, he's got some decent metronomes to
100%.
control and dictate the tempo for him. I think Torino have a good thing going right now.
They do have a very good thing going, and one thing they're showing us that they didn't last year is the certain element of grit. Now, when I talk about grit, I mean that work ethic where you're bombing back and bombing forth and moving as a unit. I think last year they were very, very pragmatic. And I think it sucked the soul out of Torino a little bit. So it's good to see them have this life. And they're still a very well-oiled machine. It's not like Vanoli is some maniac that likes to attack and Juric is just calculated. Shout out to Ricci. Ricci, who is potentially the future of the midfield in Italy. Obviously, a lot of good young Italian midfielders. But don't count out Ricci because for his age, he's just incredibly mature, incredibly press resistant, and he can go forward quite well as well. He's a very well-rounded midfielder, Italian obviously, and I really, really rate him.
Same here, absolutely.
Very good.
How far in are we, bro?
That's what
question.
I want to know as well.
1:30.
1 hour 40.
Okay,
1 hour 40. I thought it was a bit worse to be fair.
Same here.
I have 2 games left. We can hop over to yours. I think you have 3 left, eh?
We've done Verona Torino right now. 1, 2, 3 left. Yes, Let's start with Atalanta Como. This match, of course, was initially postponed because of adverse weather conditions. Postponed by 24 hours and it still took place. So whoever plays fantasy football, take a breath.
Your points have come in.
Yeah, your points have come in. Don't worry, everything is well. Everything is good in the world.
Don't worry, Carnesecchi conceded 3 for you.
Exactly.
Don't worry.
So Atalanta at home lined up in a 3-4-1-2 formation with Carnesecchi in goal, Jim City, Kossunu and Kolasinac at the back. Kossunu is a
delicious
new
Moroccan
feature
food
for them. He wears the number 3 and he's playing as Ben Godfrey has suffered a relapse in his injury as well. And he, of course, has had a little bit of a weird start. So he took central stage over there. If you want to look up some shit about him, bro, in the meantime, Kossunu, it would be great. Bellanova and Zappacosta took their positions on the flanks with Gasperini resting Ruggeri. Derun, Ederson and Pasalic were in the middle with De Ketelare and Retegui playing up front together. For Fabregas' Como, it was a 4-2-3-1 formation with Audero in goal, Moreno on the left, Van der Brempt on the right, Oliver Kempf and Dossena as the centre-back partnership with Perrone and Sergio Roberto on the double pivot, Fadera on the left, Strefezza on the right with Nico Paz playing behind Patrick Cutrone. So Zappacosta opened the scoring in the 18th minute with a fantastic volley from outside the box and got our goal of the week.
Beautiful.
And Atalanta kept the pressure up for during the first half, throughout the entire first half, but they did struggle to break Como down in open play, their goal having to come through corner. And the second half, Como turned things round and they scored 3 goals in 12 minutes. One from Strefezza, who equalised in the 47th minute with a well-placed shot after a brilliant passage of play, which saw Sergio Roberto getting the assist with a backheel flick to Strefezza, who shot from an awkward angle and scored. Was absolutely brilliant.
That's a honourable mention, huh?
It is. And then after that, a bizarre freak own goal by Kolasinac. It wasn't a crazy bizarre freak own goal, it was a deflection. But Nico Paz shot from out of the box. It deflected off Kolasinac and just went in, basically rolled in, while the goalkeeper Carnesecchi, of course, was wrong-footed. It looked like he had time to react a little bit, but probably he didn't if he didn't, right? That's the way it often is. In the 60th minute, Fadera, who looked very impressive in the last game for Como as well, extended the league with a stunning solo effort where he cut inside with a chop, feinted, took it back to the byline and shot, beating the goalkeeper, placing it.
A show, he put on over there.
He put on a show, man, what a goal. And then Lookman eventually did score a late penalty, but it was not enough to change the outcome as the referee kicked off, blew the whistle just as they kicked off.
20 minutes of absolute madness that Como brought. They shot. I strongly believe that Atalanta were facing shell shock over there, like genuine shell shock. We're just 20 seconds into the second half. Brilliant piece of play by Como, instantly down the throats of Atalanta. Brilliant goal. And after that, just another one and another one shortly after. Atalanta are like, oh my God, like, okay, I know we struggled a little bit in the first half, but we were not expecting that.
Yeah, and they became a little bit sloppy at the back in the second half, Atalanta, especially because they were chasing for a goal, right? And Como remained calm, they remained compact, they packed the middle and they attacked through the middle in numbers, that's their approach. And they exploited the spaces left behind Atalanta, and we've seen this before this season. Atalanta have lost 3 matches this season in 5 games.
They've been far from perfect, Atalanta.
They had a bit of a defensive crisis, which is still not totally over.
They also had the fucking Arsenal game, like
exactly.
One day before this. No, I mean that was on Thursday, and the game, thankfully for them, got shifted to Tuesday, but it didn't seem to help them much.
Yeah. Como were super defensively organized. They've got plenty of good individuals, and it seems like they're starting to get to know each other. They're starting to gel, and a very exciting side in the making.
Paz is an exciting player, man. Paz is very
and I'm really enjoying Strefezza lately. Another man of the match performance by him. And this Fadera guy blew my mind with that.
It's true. I'm excited to see more of him. I've actually looked up this Odilon Kasunu. So I'll just give you a bit of background on him.
Please.
That's good. So he's from the Côte d'Ivoire. He actually started his career in Côte d'Ivoire before being picked up by Club Bruges. Club Bruges have a great eye for talent. A lot of players are brought in from Club Bruges. In fact, Leverkusen signed him for 23 million. And he spent, I think, 4 years at Leverkusen. Yep, around 3 to 4 years at Leverkusen. Now he's on loan with an option to buy for Atalanta. I don't have the detail on how much they could buy him for. He's 6'3". He can play primarily as a centre back, but can also play as a right back. He excels in his tackling, and he has very long limbs, which help him with interceptions and also carrying the ball forward. But particularly here, it's really saying that his tackling is where it's at. So I'll be excited to see him in action a little bit more.
He
played for those 2 seasons he spent at Club Bruges. He played 40 games, and for Leverkusen he played 73 games.
All right, okay.
Exciting player.
Yeah, very. I want to see more of him. I was particularly impressed by Sergi Roberto's ability to control the midfield and launch these rapid Como counter-attacks with Paz, Strefezza, Fadera and Cutrone just kind of keeping it narrow but playing off each other really intelligently and linking up very well. And yes, I feel like, to be honest, it was a job well done by Como. Very, very good job. Well done. For
sure. I think the only thing I can comment about Atalanta is likely the fatigue, but also Atalanta, sometimes they're just a little bit of I don't know how to put it, but when we saw them against Cagliari and when we see them lose games, they typically lose games in moments because they're a great team and they're a very well-oiled machine. However, I think personality-wise, despite Gasperini being the head coach and drilling them and grilling them consistently, they tend to lose their minds the same way Milan used to lose their minds last season. Like over 5-10 minutes, someone can really outwork them and someone can really outdo them. And over there, they just come up second best in various departments. Their midfield, their defense, it often looks like you can break through this midfield quite easily. If Ederson is slightly out of position or they're attacking down the side of Martin Deroon when Raul Bellanova's up, for example. But what we saw over here is Como playing very intelligently, having a lot of options consistently. Whenever they're on the ball and they're moving forward, it's like they've got 2-3 options and it's like they've got a numerical advantage on Atalanta. And they didn't let Atalanta retain their shape and attack on the counter, which is where Atalanta are strong. But they were bringing the game to them.
They did.
We're not going to give you a chance to recover. You see that little space over there? Zaza! We're attacking down that.
And it might be another situation of over-management, by the way, on Gasperini's end. Because taking out your best striker, your only true number 9, to be honest, because it's not like they've got myriad number 9s. Atalanta at the moment, they have... They don't have many, just Retegui, right? And in the 55th minute, they took him out. And all of a sudden, it became really difficult for them to get anything done. They brought on Samardzic and Lukman and Brescianini, granted, who are all creative players. but there wasn't anyone to knock them home, you know.
I
Quadrado came on and looked really old, man.
Yes, I get you.
Yeah.
Are we not going to talk about how they brought on Vanja Vlahovic? Like,
Vanja Vlahovic.
sad. What in FIFA career mode is this? What in FM24 is this? When you play too many seasons, when you play too many seasons and it starts randomly generating names, it's like, okay, there was Sergej Milinkovic-Savic and his brother Vanja. There's Vlahovic. Fuck it, Vanja Vlahovic emerging.
Back in the day, you'd get Gennaro Pirlo.
Literally, bro, literally. Pretty crazy.
But yeah, that's that.
Monza 1, Bologna 2. Monza coming off a 1-1 home draw to Inter, whilst Bologna were coming off a 2-2 away draw to Como and a 0-0 home draw to Shakhtar Donetsk. Bologna really struggling to win games. This was in fact their first win of the season. And in fact, both sides were still without a win this season under new coaches, managing 3 points from 4 rounds. The hosts missed Cranio, Ciuria, Gagliardini and Vignato, whilst the Rossoblu scraped a Champions League draw with Shakhtar Donetsk thanks to a Lucas Skorupski penalty save. But Pobega fell injured over there and joined Cambiaghi, Ferguson and El Azouzi on the absentee list. And they do have some long-term injuries over there, Cambiaghi and Ferguson, unfortunately for them. It was a 3-4-2-1 formation for Monza with Turati in goal and the backline of Carboni, Mari and Itzo. Kyriakopoulos was on the left, Pereira on the right, double pivot of Bianco and Pessina with Daniel Maldini and Mota playing behind Juric. It was a 4-3-3 formation for Italiano's men with Ravaglia and goal and the backline of De Silvestri, Chazale, Lukumi and Likojans. Lukumi fucking me Urbanski, Freuler and Abusher formed the midfield three with Odgaard out on the right, Ndoye out on the left and Castro up front, obviously seeing a few amendments here and there due to their midweek clash against Shakhtar Donetsk. Now Bologna took the lead with a looping header from Urbanski assisted by Likojanis. Urbanski nearly scored again with a volley that scraped the post and Turati saved a one-on-one with Santiago Castro. We saw Urbanski very involved in this game, but even more so, obviously, Santiago Castro. Monza equalised when Ravaglia spilled a long-range shot from Maldini and allowed Juric to score on the rebound. That was poor goalkeeping by Ravaglia. We saw him in rotation last season under Thiago Motta. We saw Italiano do the same since they're playing in 2 competitions. But hey, maybe don't. Bologna retook the lead with a powerful long-range strike from fucking Castro flying into the top corner. Honestly, no run-up. Just gets the ball, controls, turns, boom, into the top corner. That's the most grandpa way I ever described the goal.
And boom, into the top corner. Castro's a little pit bull, isn't he?
He is, bro. He is. He just needs to maybe come in a bit deeper, because that's what he was doing in this game. He was coming in a bit... He was coming super deep and collecting the ball.
Coming in deeper down their throats, bro. The innuendos you're throwing out there.
Bro, fucking on one after.
Maybe that's what you were saying when Gabia scored.
That's probably saying he's hung.
No.
I don't know, man. Fuck. But what Castro was doing well, and I think he's going to do this even better when Orsolini is back in, because obviously Orsolini was part of the rotation over here. But with Ndoye in, particularly when Castro was coming in deep, relax. Ndoye was really cutting in and making those runs, so they were creating space. But then after that, throughout the match, Bologna maintained more control and created some more goal-scoring opportunities, and eventually they earned their first win of the season, leaving Monza, Nesta's men, still searching for their first points. And Bologna's first win comes without Orsolini, bro. The guy that looked like he was carrying them.
It's true. But growing pains for many of these sides who have changed managers. This Castro looks to be
promising, man. 20 years old.
We haven't. Darlinga's barely had a sniff, right?
Hey.
He's really doing well.
Mm-hmm.
They've got quite a few tools. It's interesting to see Urbanski playing as part of a midfield three, because I remember Motta playing him on the left as a left winger quite a lot. So there's that. They found ways to score goals, which is something that they've struggled to do. They did concede a very weak goal, a very soft goal, thanks to the Ravaglia error, as you said, which was against the run of play, and how. But I would say that Bologna deserved this victory, and they dominated for quite a while. And this was our bet, no? Alan's bet, the patron bet.
Yes,
that Monza would beat Bologna, but they obviously turned it around because we put €5 on it. We'll see what our bet for next week is. Stay tuned till the end.
Stay tuned. I'm not gonna go into many more talking points, just two. Monza are still winless and they currently find themselves in the relegation zone. Is there a deadline for Nesta? Who prefers Lazio to Milan? Because I saw an interview.
As long as we're seeing good things, Lazio is the club that molded him.
Yes.
Milan is the one that made him into a
world-class player,
a champion. You never forget your first. Yes, I think so far the signs on the pitch have been positive for Nesta, so I don't think he's at risk as of now, as of yet. However, if we reach the halfway point of the season, or we're nearing the halfway point and they're in the bottom three and the results really haven't been coming in and the performances have been a little bit...
So you think he needs some more time?
He needs time, yes. I mean, we've seen decent things from Nesta. It's not like Cagliari, where, for example, we haven't seen them do anything this season yet. Monza have shown decent flashes.
Who are they against next? Can you check since you have that
Monza?
Open, please? I was also, when it comes to Monza, very pleased with the performance of Alessandro Bianco.
Napoli away. First Brescia in the Coppa, though. But Napoli away would be very telling, for example. Bianco has been good, huh?
Bianco has been good. On loan from Fiorentina, he won 8 out of 13 ground duels. He got 4 tackles and he won 4 fouls. Because he can get stuck in and he can also move forward. He's a little nippy fellow. Good center of gravity. Strong. Good pace to him. Seems like a well-rounded little talent.
He does. On loan from Fiorentina, as you said. So another talent on the Fiorentina squad list.
Maybe a direct replacement for Amrabat.
But it's so early right now that Milan, who are having a disastrous season, and Inter, who are a fantastic team holding City and all that, one result and Milan, boom, are level on points with Inter, 8 points each,
Yeah, but there was a deadline. There was a deadline for Fonseca. Does Nesta have one? Perhaps.
Allegedly, there was a deadline. But
every single reporter said even if he wins, there's a chance that he'll be sacked.
But that's sensationalism, no?
I mean, not when every single pundit, every single reporter, they all reported the same thing. The deadline is Inter.
But yes, shall we move on?
Yeah.
We have a very exciting game, and if you watch this game, well done. You chose a fantastic game to watch. Lecce 2, Parma 2. As for the lineups, it was a 4-2-3-1 for Lecce, with Falcone in goal, Guilbert as the right back and Gallo as the left back, with Gaspar and Baschirotto as the centre back partnership, with Ramadani and Koulibaly as the centre back, as the double pivot, with Dorgu and Tete Morente on the flanks, with Rebic playing behind or off the shoulders of Nikola Kristovic. For the opposition in Parma, it was also a 4-2-3-1 formation with Zion Suzuki in goal, Woyo Koulibaly on the left, Del Prato on the right, with Baloch and Osorio playing as a centre-back partnership, Barnabé and Som in the double pivot, with Michala on the left, Man on the right, and Hernani playing behind Boni.
There was a beautiful FIFA card, Hernani, attacking midfielder, Brazilian 5-star skill moves on FIFA. Remember that?
Oh, I don't, but Jesus, I wish I did. The missing players for Lecce were Berisha, Gonzalez, Caba, and Sansone. As for Parma, they had Charpentier, Estevez, Keita, Valeri, Kowalski, and Benedziak.
I just get...
It sounds good.
Every combination I say J.
So Lecce, one moment. So the scoring was opened by Dorgu, who has taken on a very offensive role at Lecce over here, and then eventually Kristovic did make it from a free kick that was conceded by Cancellieri, who had gotten sent off. Of course, okay, let's go minute by minute, because I realized I forgot the first goal in the build-up. So Dorgu scored in the 32nd, Guilbert slapped Cancellieri in the 47th and got sent off. Now, in the 58th, Cancellieri fouled Dorgu, who was clean through on goal, and Kristovic scored from the free kick, deflected, granted, resulting that Cancelleri had given away, basically. In the 93rd minute, Almqvist got one back, goal against his ex-club. And then in the 95th minute, Hainut scored the equalizer of a header. It was absolutely insane. Kristovic was clean through on goal on quite a few occasions, but one of them in particular where he tried to dribble Suzuki. Suzuki rushed out and managed to collect it from him, and that would have put Lecce up 3-1, and the game would have been pretty much over. So this loss is pretty much on Kristovic, in my opinion, because you don't go missing an opportunity like that just because you're 2-1 up. You're gonna try dribble the goalkeeper. You were 2 against 1.
He struggles with decision making in front of
he's
goal.
Selfish, man. Dude. He's selfish. You can tell he's scoring goals, and it's kind of affecting the way he plays. Sometimes I feel like he's selfish, and as a number 9, it's often the case when players take matters into their own hands. But this was just flashy. It was
selfish. Is it that he's selfish, or is it that he's really struggling in front of goal? But he's scoring.
He isn't.
He's
scoring.
Because sometimes a striker will take matters into their hands because they need a goal. But clearly not the case either.
He just scored. He scored this game. Yes, I think that Lecce utilized the dynamic setup. They transitioned very quickly. They exploited the spaces on the flanks. Both teams created opportunities, but Lecce found quite a few. Found success through Dorgu, who was running in behind, and Ramadani, who was eagle eyes and can spot
man, Dorgu.
Yes. Lecce's defense initially held very firm, and they relied obviously on quick counterattacks, as they always do. The red cards intensified the match, and it became a little bit heated at that point. I think Parma just continued to press and created enough opportunities. They never gave up, and they managed to get back in the game with a miraculous comeback and a goal for Hainut.
It's good to see this side to Parma, because we've seen Parma attack nice and early, be leading, and then maybe lose it at the end, concede at the end, obviously managing to get it completely over the line against Milan. But against Napoli, they struggled with discipline. In the last game, they struggled as well, conceding late on. But this time, they were the team that were behind, and they actually managed to get back into it, and also showing, with Almqvist scoring off the bench and Hainut scoring off the bench, showing a little bit of squad depth over there. It's always good for your substitutes to score as many players in form as possible, especially now with Cancelleri out suspended.
Absolutely.
It's a good side to see of a newly promoted team.
This Hainut, it was his first ever goal in Serie A. He only had one career goal before that, and it was at, how do you pronounce this, bro? Bouillon. It's the French Bologna. What's this?
The French Bologna, Bouillon.
So, brilliant. And last week, I hailed Guilbert to be an experienced player, 29 years old, I believe, playing as a right back, and this game obviously he went slapping Cancelleri in the head. I mean, someone had to know.
He got some shade on this podcast, Cancelleri.
He does. What a game, though.
Brilliant game. Just so you know, it is the 2-hour mark.
Don't stop believing. It's the 2-hour mark. Here we go again.
Congratulations.
Let's go.
You're gonna need to edit a 2.5-hour podcast. Venezia 2, Genoa 0 is the next game we're going to be covering. Of course, Venezia coming off a 4-0 away loss to Milan, whilst Genoa were coming off a 1-1 home draw to Roma, where they equalized in the last minute. Venezia were feeling the pressure after 1 point from just 4 games, with Caviglia suspended, Duncan, Altara and Bjarksen injured, but Buzio is back. Genoa had held Inter and Roma to draws while beating Monza away, but missed Messias, Miretti, Norton Ciuffi and Ankea. There's Norton Ciuffi gonna play a game. I can't wait for the commentator to say his name.
Norton Ciuffi.
Venezia played a 3-5-2 formation with Jorin in goal and a backline of Itzes, Svoboda and Candela. Haps was on the left, Zampano on the right, and the midfield three of Busio, Anderson, and Ellertson, with Oristano and Poyampo up front. 3-5-2 formation also for Gilardino's men, with Gollini in goal and the back line of De Winter, Bani and Vasquez, Sabelli on the right, Martin on the left, straight up fucking Martin, I love that shit.
Aaron Martin,
Malinovsky,
lead singer of Coldplay.
Malinovsky, Badel and Friendrup in midfield, with Vitin and Ekuban playing up front. Now Busio had a free header from a Michael Svoboda cross, but failed to convert, sending it over the bar. Quite poor actually. But just after halftime, Malinovsky suffered a severe ankle injury, requiring a stretcher assistance and prompting applause from the crowd. I don't know how long he's out for. I think you said
The rest of the season.
Rest of the season.
Probably.
R.I.P.
Horrific
Fanta.
injury.
Yes,
terrible.
man. Literally, his foot was pointing the other way, and he looked distraught. Shit, that's a tough one to recover from as well. You could see the only thing Gollini could do is hug him.
He hugged him. That was
Just make sure he wasn't
yeah.
looking at it for too long.
He went. Gollini went over to him. He looked at his face. He's seeing him in agony. He looked at his foot, which is literally pointed the wrong way. He looked back at his face, and the only thing he could do, as you said, is just he went up and he hugged him.
Madonnina,
Man.
Goose flesh.
Goose flesh.
Goose flesh. Venezia were awarded a penalty when Busio was fouled in the box. However, Gollini saved Poyampalo's no bullshit penalty. He excellently hit penalty, bullet into the bottom corner. Gollini, the save that he pulled off on that penalty is like prime Iker Casillas. What a fucking save by Gollini. Moments later, Venezia took the lead, Busio crossed, and Gollini just completely misjudged it. No one got a touch to it, nothing. The ball is just a soft cross by Busio, just like bouncing, and it goes into the far corner. From hero to zero. Like,
Yes.
It was such a brilliant save, and then moments after that fuck up.
That was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing.
It bounced like 5 times before it rolled into the back of the net.
Literally, man.
He
Literally
didn't even dive. He kind of crab walked. Gollini crab walked.
The infamous crab walk. The rappers love it nowadays.
He had a fiver on Busio to score.
Okay, and then there was Yeboah's brilliant crossing behind the Genoa defense that was met by Po, who fired in at the back post, marking Poyampalo's first ever Serie A goal. Congratulations,
Well done,
Poyampalo.
well deserved.
Yes. Itzes preserved the clean sheet with a crucial block against Ekhator in stoppage time, and Venezia got their first victory, and it came against Genoa, as Genoa are proving to be the new Robin Hood of Serie A. How important is the reintroduction of Busio in this team? He's everything to their midfield, man.
Yes, and how fantastic are the vibes in Venice? I'm kidding. No, it's true. It was popping. The stadium was lovely.
Yes, we should go.
Especially during the day, like an
We always
early
say
kickoff
it.
in Venice is amazing.
Let's take the women to Venice,
Busio
bro.
was really good this game. And obviously he's important for them. They got used to playing with that Tessman Busio partnership in the middle. That was key under Vanoli last
It was
season.
huge.
So having him back is massive for them.
Yeah, and the way he links midfield to attack, especially in counters, and the way he himself links up with Poyampalo. You often see them doing a bit of a give and go over there. Shout out to Venezia's defense, because I've never seen them hold firm. This was a similar situation to Milan, where this could be a turning point for Venezia's season. They've got Busio back, they've got Poyampalo firing now.
They've got a leader at the back.
They've got a leader.
The first Indonesian in Serie A.
Every time.
Every week I'm gonna say
God
this.
forbid you
38
ever
match
go.
days, I'm gonna say it every single week, bro.
Whenever you go to, it's like when I went to Morocco and I knew of Mehdi Benatia, and every single
every guy you meet.
You know Benatia, bro? No, all I know is desert. That's
One guy told you that.
Yeah,
No,
crazy.
brother, all I know is desert.
He then gave me weed. Whatever.
What a gentleman.
Genoa's defense, on the other hand, seemed quite shaky, especially the manner in which they conceded the first goal. Okay, all jokes aside, Gollini could have gotten that. But a defender needs
Yes.
to
That should
fucking
never
get that
spill
ball
through.
out. It
Yeah.
should never ever spill through. I'm very conscious of time, so sorry if I'm jumping through
No
it
problem.
quite
Pinamonti
a
scored
bit.
against Sampdoria
Ooh,
in the Lanterna Derby.
nice.
Genoa leading 1-0.
Then he doesn't score in the league. Well, he scored one, to be fair to me.
I think we could move on, to be honest, brother.
I just want to say that a factor to Genoa crumbling in this game could obviously be the Malinovsky injury. And not because Malinovsky was substituted and is so important to the team, but seeing that
Mental,
guy,
right?
you're going to go into a 50-50 after seeing that.
Exactly, a guy. You know,
No way will I go into a 50-50 after
your
seeing
teammate
like that.
as well. It affects you psychologically. You have to move past it, but you know, Venezia were pumped by their fans still. You know, the fans helped them to forget about it quite quickly, maybe, while Genoa players were still kind of shocked
That's
about
it.
that.
That's it. And
But in fact, they created very little.
They had 0 shots on target. Their XG was 0.5. Venezia's was 1.6. They really, truly, Venezia, power to them because they deserve this game, obviously within the certain circumstances, but great first win for Venezia, and they're out of the relegation zone as it stands, 5 games in.
Yes. We've got... What's left?
Your
One
last
second.
one.
Yes, we have Cagliari 0, Empoli 2. Yes, a match to which Cagliari barely showed up. The lineups are awfully small. 1 second, I'm just gonna have to pull them up here. 1 moment.
No
Sorry about
worries.
that, because I take these screenshots on my iPad, guys.
Blood
and
was
then
gonna read it like this.
Yeah, I send the lineups to my laptop, but sometimes I keep the lineups too small.
Well, we're hearing our excuses, bro.
Yes.
Even I
What a
have them up.
podcast.
Even I have them.
You have them up?
Yes, bro.
Wait a second, my computer's slower than
3-5-2
yours.
formation.
You've got a map. A Mac map. not
You've
a map.
got a map.
Okay, so
Hey, I'm Dora
Scuffet
the
was in goal
Explorer.
for Cagliari. Scuffet was in goal with a back three of Luperto, Mina and Zappa. Thomas Augello on the left, probably distracted, wondering where's my pirate. Zorte on the right.
God, he's my life,
I
man.
really hope they find my pirate. Deola, Marin and Makumbu were the midfield three with Piccoli and Zito Luvumbo playing up front together. For Empoli, it was Vasquez in goal in a 3-4-2-1 formation with Gogli Cheesy as one of the centre-backs with Ismaili and Viti, Jazzy and Petzella on the flanks with Anjorin and Grassi in the middle. Of course, Colombo and Henderson playing off the shoulders of Esposito. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Colombo would have been up front
probably.
with Esposito.
But they
playing
were
behind him.
swapping
Yes,
a
yes,
little
yes.
bit.
But Colombo's more of a 9 than Esposito is, and Esposito has that creative spark about him.
He has this.
Exactly. I'm going to shoot. Am I going to shoot? I'm not going to shoot. I'm going to shoot. Yes. So, Empoli, solid victory for them. Goes through Colombo on the 33rd and Esposito on the 49th minute. Empoli have gone up to 3rd in the standings, showcasing their fantastic form at the moment.
Undefeated.
Yes, they're undefeated.
Unbelievable.
While Cagliari struggled to create clear chances, with Vasquez in goal, relatively untested for Empoli. Vasquez, by the way, is the goalkeeper. I only learned recently. I don't know how this, how I didn't notice this, but Vasquez is the goalkeeper Milan had bought. Remember?
Oh my days!
He's on loan
my
at Empoli. Yes,
days.
and he's playing pretty well. I mean, this game had nothing to do, but he's been playing quite well.
Oh my days!
The match lacked a lot of cohesion from Cagliari. They got booed by the home crowd, and Pulli, the mascot, got told off again at the end of it. The first half, of course, so actually let's not get into that because I'm really conscious of time and I'm a bit distracted. However, Colombo has been key for Empoli. He's been very composed up front. His finishing ability seems to have improved, again, taken up a notch, and his movement as well and link-up play with Esposito has been very good. Esposito on his goal had a dummy that took out the defender. He made Augello look like an amateur, probably thinking about his parrot. But he did misjudge the cross coming in, Augello.
Yes.
And then he allowed Esposito to take it
Bring
down.
the ball down.
While he was recovering, Augello, he feinted and beat him again, and then he slotted it neatly into the back.
It was very well taken by Esposito.
It was
to be fair
fantastic,
as
yes,
well.
to be
Brilliant goal.
Yes. Cagliari, honestly, struggling to react, struggling to get anything done. Very frustrating for Zito Luvumbo, who seems to be one of the only ones trying. Zortea's coming out of his shell. He's getting a little bit involved. However, they're going to need to do a lot better, and Nicola's job is once again on the line, and might be another case of having the job from the beginning of the season and not managing to really impose your style, your system on the team. Nicola seems to be an impact coach who comes in and can lift a team when it's down. However, from the get-go, he has proven many times
because he's being outmaneuvered. His teams are being outclassed tactically. It's as simple as that. Cagliari already aren't a team. They're by no means a star-studded team. They've got one of the weakest teams in Serie A, as they did last season. They need a coach that is going to... Now, obviously, Nicola, by no means is he down and out already. He could potentially turn things around. We all know, would never count him out. But perhaps if they work together as a team rather than individuals who are constantly on a different page, then they'll perform better. It's as simple as that. Maybe if they're more tactically sound and disciplined, and they can defend set pieces better, they can defend crosses better, and they just have the basics a bit more nailed down. That's what makes a team a team. Because at the moment, what we're seeing is one of the worst 11s in Serie A not being managed well.
No clear tactical direction. It's confusing. They're confused.
The only two players I'm enjoying for now, I know Zortea's coming through, whatever, but he's not even one of the ones that I'm going to mention.
No,
Luvumbo Marin.
Yes, literally.
Marin has been a great addition, and fair enough. Marin has been a fantastic re-addition, I don't know if there's a word for that, into their midfield. And Luvumbo should be a nailed-on starter. I know he's a great impact sub, but yeah.
Somehow they did have an XG of 2.3 this game, Cagliari.
Probably because the AI doesn't know who their players are.
Honestly, I can't quite remember right now the big chances that were missed, but...
Of course, they've also got some players on the bench that can create trouble. Now, obviously, Pavoletti and Lapadula take those with a pinch of salt, but there's Viola, Gaetano, to be honest, I'm quite surprised he's not starting.
I know, right? And these guys are creative players, so they need them, you know? I mean, at the moment, it seems like Luvumbo against the world at times.
Yeah.
And Piccoli up front, man, we always say he leaves a lot to be desired, but in the second half, he took him out and brought on Pavoletti, and I was like, okay, maybe this... We get a seasoned player who maybe if he gets a clear header, he won't exactly miss it. Because Piccoli looks like he's doing everything perfectly. He rises well, but it never goes towards goal. You know what I mean?
It's true.
But the second Pavoletti came in, they conceded. So, it was unlucky for them. And this is, by the way, Empoli without Fazzini, man.
Yeah, it is Empoli without
It's Empoli without
you see
Fazzini,
what I mean? Because
without Ebuehi, without Zurkowski. They've got a decent
but tactically they're excellent.
Yes,
they're excellent tactically. And keep in mind, they're also without Solbakken, who came on. They also have Pellegrini. They also have De Sciglio, who comes on. But
hilarious.
Cacace as well. They have Konate. They have Junior Sambia. They have quite a deep team. And tactically, they're very, very good, very disciplined. They don't have a ridiculously high press against Cagliari. Maybe they did a little bit more because they can afford to. But they prepare for the team ahead of them. And D'Aversa so far has really impressed me with what he can do with a squad that, in theory, coming into the season, I thought was way weaker than it is. But it has become...
We had a listener who noticed.
Yes, he said young Italian talent will save them.
Empoli. And we both kind of, and they're going to need a lot more than that. But it's true, man. These guys are really coming together.
Yeah, and they have become one of my favorite teams this season.
Yes, so far.
So I think... that's it for now. Don't leave because we are going to be doing our betting segment after this, but we will say our goodbyes now. So thank you very much.
So thank you very much. Follow us on YouTube, guys. Subscribe, leave a comment, hit like. Yes, like is a thing you can do. Hit that button. Thank you very much. We love
Fuck
you.
the like button up, guys. Much love.
Okay. Hello and welcome back to our betting segment. It is I, Sandro, and my co-host.
Hello.
Yes, we will be taking the betting segment into our own hands after Jake and Matthew have proven that they are absolute failures in this department.
I don't know why they listened to those idiotic patrons of theirs, Sandro, because the only bet that they placed last week was a complete failure, and you and I, as seasoned gamblers, we know what to do. So we're here presenting Jake and Matt's new betting segment, brought to you by Sandro and Nico.
I fucking love betting.
There is nothing I love more than betting, especially on my own team.
And yellow cards.
Yellow cards in the 90th minute.
Yes, which reminds me, I need to give Paqueta a call. Our recommended bet for next week, which will actually happen, unlike Alan's stupid bet that he placed for this week, which was Monza to beat Bologna, and not only did they not beat them, but they lost. Our bet
Alan.
is Parma to beat Cagliari. Parma will be playing Cagliari at home. Cagliari have looked absolutely terrible, while Parma are desperate for a win. Their results have been quite good. Their performances have been quite good. The results nowhere near. So I think they'll look at this as an opportunity to win. What do you think, Nico?
I'm definitely placing this bet because I fucking love gambling. And I also love making money. And I also hate listening to people.
And I also love odds of 2+. And the odds of this one are 2.15.
If you guys want some good odds as well, and you're feeling a bit risky, there's also Genoa versus Juve. Juve have drawn 3 games in a row with the score of 0-0. Genoa, whilst they've been erratic and just coming off a loss against a shit side in Venezia, they also do great things against the top teams, as we've seen earlier on this season. So they have odds to win the game at 5.0. I'm not saying please place Genoa to win, but have a look at Genoa win or draw and Genoa to get a goal in the game, because those bets can be lucrative. What do you think, Sandro?
I think you're crazy, and no wonder you started crying against Sassuolo.
I think you're a bitch, and you moved your club because your club knew what you were doing. I think you're a snitch, and at least I got to feature in the Euros.
At least I will feature again in the Euros.
I will gamble again.
I will definitely gamble again.
I fucking love gambling.
Me too. Thank you very much.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, okay?
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.